has officially begun.
The road to $10,000 runs through the Charlotte Motor Speedway, the home base for stock car racing. We are getting ready to go green for 200 laps in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Tim Terry up in the booth. We're going to go to Tony Stevens and Joe Cortez momentarily in the studio. But gentlemen, this is a race like we saw 2 weeks ago that could produce a first-time winner or a different winner in this series. 2 weeks ago, we headed to Pocono, and it was Alan Bowes on fuel mileage taking away his first win in this series. Alan Bowes going to start deep in the field in 30th this evening. But when you look down the past champions list of this race, Tony Stevens, Danny Hansen won his first race here 1 season ago in 2014, Joey Brown in 2013, Nick Ottinger in 2012, Thomas Hazard, Brad Davies, and Richard Towder, the 2010 champion, won here in 2010. There are 6 different names on that list. Do we add one more here this evening?
Tim, I think it's a very real possibility, and I think it's going to be a driver that's not on that list. Exception might be Nick Ottinger over the course of the evening. He's been strong in the mile and a half as of the last year and a half or so, Joe. Past couple races, maybe not as good as he would like, but certainly he could be one that has a threat to repeat. But I think all eyes are going to be, as they have been all season, on the team and on Kenny Humpy, because of the simple fact that as where we have been, they have been the car and cars to beat.
Oh, absolutely there, Tony. I mean, the fact is, the team is the team to beat right now. But you absolutely have a very good point in the fact that Nick Ottinger remains a wild card in tonight's race. Nick Ottinger considers Charlotte, being from the Charlotte area himself, considers this really his home track. He's got a little bit of home turf advantage here, as do you, Tony Stevens, but for different reasons. And I think that he really has an opportunity here to turn around what's been a very lackluster season. If he can get a good win here tonight, if he can get a good showing in tonight's race, Nick Ottinger has one opportunity to really turn this entire season around and make it not so team-centric.
I think you're right, Joe, and I think that's going to start here at Charlotte, and there would be no better place for Ottinger than right here at his home racetrack. Ottinger grew up within the shadows of Hickory Motor Speedway, in fact still lives there, about 45 minutes or so northwest of the Charlotte Motor Speedway, and when you come to Hickory, you feel mystique and all kinds of prestige, but the biggest thing was all those legends from Hickory moved on to Charlotte and did well, and I think Nick kind of classifies himself in that same breath. One thing we're going to have to watch out for tonight, I think, Joe, as well, is simply passing. Talking to some drivers before the race, they say this racetrack is a great driver's track. There's grip everywhere. They can move around the racetrack and do what they need to do, but that also inherently creates a problem, making it very hard to pass. You're at terminal velocity, and the question a lot of them are asking was, how do I get by a guy? Do you think pit strategy is going to be something we see tonight, much as we saw at the Sprint All-Star race a few nights ago in the actual Charlotte Motor Speedway?
Absolutely it's going to be. Pit strategy is going to be critical here more than anywhere else. The good news, like you said, about this track, Tony, is the fact that you can control the car anywhere. You can go high, you can go low, you can go middle. Makes for great 2-wide racing, even some 3-wide racing at times. The problem, though, is it burns up those 4 Goodyears underneath each of these virtual machines, which means these guys are going to have to figure out and mitigate their pit strategy. You're going to see guys saving it early on in the race and really in the mid-game of the race in order to make sure they have the rubbers they need in order to make it work down the long haul. The other thing to keep in mind here, Tony, is this is arguably one of the longest races we run. So these guys are not only combating the endurance of their cars, they're combating the mental endurance they need in order to complete this race. And it certainly wouldn't surprise me, not because of defect by any of these drivers, but just because of the pure length of this race alone, if we see some drivers make some very uncharacteristic moves at the end of the race, purely because of how long it takes and how much mental dexterity is required in order to complete this race.
Joe, you led right into my next point. This race, longer than any race on the Peak Antifreeze Series schedule, just as the counterpart, the Coca-Cola 600 is for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Here in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, 300 miles, 200 laps around the mile and a half Charlotte Motor Speedway. It makes for a long night. And certainly, as you said, the mental dexterity, the mental prowess it takes to do well here. You might be great on lap number 40, lap number 80, but when you get down to lap 160, 180, and ultimately lap 200, is the thought process still there? Can you still react as quickly as you did earlier? Can you still be up on the chip and on the wheel as well as you were earlier in the race? Not just the drivers, Joe, but also these teams. They have to strategize. They have to work with each other, spotters, crew chiefs, strategists, on 300 miles, not 200 or 250 as we're used to. Doesn't sound like much, but it can be a huge factor in determining who wins right here at Charlotte.
Absolutely, it can be. And again, it's really whoever has that matter of that mental dexterity, who can last that entire time, who can focus that entire time. We're going to get started here in about 4 minutes, 9 p.m. here on America's East Coast, 6 p.m. Pacific. And a lot of these drivers on the West Coast in Central Time Zone, they're going to be burning the midnight oil tonight. We're not going to be done here at Charlotte till maybe close to midnight, which means this is going to be a much longer race. They've already had a long work day. They've already had a long setup time. Now they've got to do it for 4 more hours, 3-4 more hours there down here, and that's going to make for some very interesting driving. Again, it wouldn't surprise me if by the end of this race you see a couple drivers make some very uncharacteristic moves that we haven't seen them do. Again, not because they're not good drivers, just because that exhaustion, that mental fatigue, that physical fatigue all comes together at the end of this race, and really it could be the deciding factor between first and 10th.
If this race lasts 3 or 4 hours, Joe, I'm coming somewhere to find you and take you to the woodshed for a whipping, because if this race lasts that long, we're envying the actual Coca-Cola 600. Well, this is
you know
true.
where I live.
You're right here, right now, too, so I kind of know where you'll be in the next few hours.
There's that.
Nonetheless, it's going to be a fun race. It's going to be a very fun race here tonight at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Tim Terry's in the booth. We're going to go join him here in just a moment. Again, 300 miles of action-packed excitement on the 24-degree banks of the greatest place to see the race, Charlotte Motor Speedway. Tim, we'll throw it back to you, and we'll head upstairs because this one could be good here tonight.
And as you guys head upstairs, we are going to step away for a quick moment, get a couple of words from our series sponsor, Peak Antifreeze, and bring you back to the starting lineup here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Don't go away.
Sorry, guys. I never would have thought making duck calls would have stirred up this much excitement.
No kidding. Got him coming up here.
Shortcut time!
That's what I'm talking about. You sure this is a good idea?
Oh, yeah. I got this. I can't guarantee you how this will end, but Peak can guarantee your radiator for life. Introducing the Peak Run True Guarantee. Check it out at peakguarantee.com.
Truex in the outside, contact made. 56 slides it at a 4. Who's going to be at the stripe? Dead even, give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy. Welcome back to the Charlotte Motor Speedway, round number 7 of 16 on the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing. This is round number 7. We get 12 races in here, gentlemen. We drop our worst finish, or these guys drop their worst finish, and then we go for 4 races that count towards the championship standings. With this being the longest race of the season, This one, it could be interesting for some of these drivers that are going for that championship. They're all chasing Kenny Humpy right now. Ray Alfala, Chad Lawton, Patrick Crabtree, and Chris Overland, your top 5 in the standings. See what they can do here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway as we get ready to turn the page and go racing. These drivers are going to begin to grid here, and we will go down our starting grid. And how about Corey Vincent on the pole here this evening? Corey Vincent at a 27-21 will start from P1 to the outside. The 2012 winner of this event, Nick Ottinger.
Second row, the number 27 of Cody Bias into his outside. Current series point leader in the Peak Antifreeze, number 58, it is Kenny Humpy.
Row number 3 belongs to the 74 of Taylor Hurst on the inside. Gridding position number 5 on the outside of him will be the 38 of Ryan Lowe.
Here's 2 veterans looking to pick up their first win at Charlotte. It's Kevin King on the inside. He'll start P7. Ray Alfala to the outside in the 2.
Good start for Rob Ackley and his Toyota. He'll roll off 9th, and Alex Scribner in the 50 makes it a pair of Camrys in row 5.
Another 2 familiar names will occupy row number 6. Justin Bolton, the 36 machine, on the inside, and 11th. Matt Busa, the 34th, and 12th.
He's carrying an onboard camera here this evening. Michael J. Johnson in the 39 to the outside. He's got new paint on the car. We'll talk more about it later. Chad Lawton in the 26.
Brandon Bowie in the 54 starts 15th, and Stephen Gilbert pilots his familiar 37 from the 16th spot.
Ryan Blackford will start on the inside of row number 9 in a 33 machine. On the outside of him, the 99 of Teemu Volan in the Inex Chevrolet starts position 18.
We get Nathan Wise in the 24 in the next row, completing your top 20, P.J. Sturgis.
Benjamin Burmeister and Brandon Schmidt will make up row number 11.
3 wide Daly, hoping to make it to start 2 wide. Position number 23 of the 93 Focus Energy Shot Toyota Camry. On the outside of him, another familiar name, the 9 of Tyler Hill, starting position number 24.
Crabtree starting deep. The 15 starts 25th. Adam Gilliland in the 8 starts 26th.
Former series champion Tyler Hudson is 27th, and Chris Overland is 28th.
Row number 15 belongs to Casey Tucker on the inside, and last week's winner, or 2 weeks ago's winner, Alan Bowes on the outside.
David Rattler, Andrew Fayash III, the next row.
Trey Eidson, Jake Sturgis, Brad Davies will complete the top 35.
And the rest of the field, Landon Harrison, Michael Connie, Brian Schoenberg, Tyler Laughlin, Alex Warren, Brian Day, Danny Hansen, rounding out your field of 42 tonight here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. It's the longest race, guys. Let's get ready to go green flag racing at the World Center of Speed.
And here comes the 10 and the rest of the field. Green flag in the air. We're underway for round number 7 at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Corey Vincent was strong in pro. This doesn't surprise the field, but running up front in this series, it's hard to do, Tony, and right now he's going to lead the field through 1 and 2.
Corey Vincent, start of his life so far in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, out to the jump over former winner here at Charlotte, Nick Ottinger. Single file for the first 3 spots. The battle is back for 5th. That's where somebody's doing what hasn't been done all season long. Passing Kenny Humpy on the racetrack. Taylor Hurst trying to do just that. Underneath the 58 is a complete lap number 1.
Now the 38 going to try to go low. No, check that line. Low's going to go high. The 29 to Kevin King going to jump on the back bumper of the 74 Taylor Hurst, but it'll be too little too late. Kenny Humpy is gone, and now they're battling for the scraps behind him. Teammate Kevin King in the 29 machine down low. He'll get help from the 36 of Justin Bolton, and the team once again looking strong.
They got Ryan Lowe there on the outside. Great qualifying effort for the 38. He ran well at Richmond a few weeks ago. He's on the outside. The 2 of Ray Alfala trying to come up through the field as well. 2x2 racing. Now back to 2 wide between the 74 and the 29 as change for second about to happen as well. Cody Bias pressuring the 05 of Ottinger. Battles well within the top 5.
All throughout the field, for that matter, Tim. Kevin King now moves his way up to 5th by Taylor Hurst as you ride on board the number 05, the Ring Machine of Nick Ottinger. Top 3 starting to break away. The 3rd car, which is that number 27 of Cody Bias, we were just looking at as they work their way off turn number 2. Bias, really this is the biggest flash of speed and brilliance we've seen from him, as now he moves to 2nd. Ottinger says, go ahead and go around me. I will save that battle for later in the race. Bias, new 2nd place runner with 4 laps complete. Oh, trouble! Turn number 4! 1 car goes around, a yellow car. It looked like it, couldn't tell who it was, but 4 or 5 cars were in it. It all started, I believe, with maybe Brandon Schmidt as he got spun on the 24-degree banks of turn number 4. Somehow they didn't all pile in, but Byron Daly caught a piece of it, and miraculously, what could have been a huge melee is only minor damage for about 3 or 4 cars.
Nothing minor about the damage they received. As soon as we get the replay up, you'll be able to see what exactly happened there. It all starts with the 3 of Brandon Schmidt as he just takes that turn a little too hard. He gets a little aggressive coming through the apex of the turn, gets sideways. Unfortunately, gets sideways right in the trajectory of the 15 and 93, both running side by side behind him. Pat Crabtree gives him the boost he needs. The 93 tries to slow down, but it's no difference. 8 of Gillen gets straight in the back of the 93. So now Gillen, heavy front end damage. The 93 of Byron Daly, front end and rear end damage on that Toyota Camry. 3 cars all going to end up going down to pit road this time by, looking for a little more than your standard tires and fuel.
The one thing that you mentioned, Tony, that could have been a lot bigger than it was. And when I spoke with some of these teams this week, they said that could very well be the nature of the beast here this evening. If somebody does spin like that and there is a pack behind them, there's really nowhere to go. You have to really be heads up and make sure those drivers behind you know that you're slowing down, and the spotters have to be on their game. We saw it there. That could have easily been a 10-car incident. Instead, it was just a single-car incident with a couple of guys getting away with a little bit of damage as they pass through the 66, the 8, the 15. The 3 of Brandon Schmidt is going to come down, get some fenders pulled out, get back on the racetrack, and he's probably going to be able to contend here tonight, at least in the middle of the pack. We'll see what he can do.
And, Tim, going back and looking at the replay, there were 3 wide going into turn number 3, and Schmidt might have ended up getting really a lot less damage, you said, than maybe he should have. He was stuck in the middle between Crabtree and Daly, and then he ended up in the middle of turn number 3 of the racetrack, and trying to cut down as it was. He already had 2 cars in his back bumper, taking the air off the spoiler, and when you get on the throttle here, especially early in the run, it's very easy to spin the tires and lose the back end, plus all the aero dependency that you have now lost from those cars behind you. And I think that's ultimately what happened. It was nothing more than simply Brandon Schmidt losing control in a pack of traffic. And as we said, it could have been a whole heck of a lot worse. But ultimately just a product of racing here at Charlotte in a tight pack and a very narrow racetrack, Joe. This racetrack not necessarily easy to pass on because it is probably the narrowest 1.5-mile track on the circuit.
It's the narrowest, but it's the most fun, and as we saw in those opening set of laps, these guys really can manipulate the track to their advantage and really take advantage of everything this track has to offer. On this restart, watch for the team. You've got 2 members of the team, Cody Bias and Kenny Humpy, starting on the outside in the first 2 positions, then Kevin King immediately behind them on the inside with Justin Bolton on the outside. 4 team members of the team getting ready to do business, and don't be surprised if these guys try to form a train and leave everyone else behind.
But it's Corey Vincent leading them to green. The 10-car will put the hammer down right here. We're back underway. Green flag flies. 27 of Cody Bias will try to find his way into second. Right in front of Nick Ottinger. Ottinger onto the hammer and pressuring the 27 right off the hop.
Somehow, though, they all sorted out single file for about the top 6 cars. They work off turn number 2. And that early caution, guys, as we continue to build speed, keep in mind about the top 22, 23 cars stayed on the racetrack. Everyone else came down pit road. Pit window tonight expected to be 50 to 55 laps. If you pit now and this race happens to go green, you can make it on 3 stops. That might be very critical to how this race plays out. We didn't think much about early yellows at Pocono 2 weeks ago, but with that in the forefront of our memory, it might have just set the tone for the race tonight at Charlotte if things continue as they did a week ago.
Drivers don't have a very short memory, even if it would benefit them sometimes to do that. These guys remember the things that happen week in and week out. These guys remember who dumped them, who didn't give them the room, who didn't help them out when they needed that help. And guess what, guys? Now you might see a little bit of that paid back tonight. Not right now, though, because, again, as we've talked about often, in order to finish first you must finish. Corey Vincent trying to finish first, but Cody Bias keeps poking the nose around. Cody Bias is going to go for it this time by. Yes, he is. And we could have a change for the lead next time around.
The Elwood Designs 27 of Cody Bias going to go to the top of the board. The 10 of Corey Vincent going to fall to position number 2. And Ottinger going to try to reel them in for the top 2 spots. And Tony, when I talked to Cody Bias earlier this evening, he seemed relaxed. He seemed excited, optimistic about this race. A couple weeks ago at Pocono, really didn't like the racetrack and was very vocal about it. That's just not one of his racetracks that he typically runs well at. Charlotte, totally different story. We might see a first-time winner here this evening, and it might be Cody Bias.
Tim, I think that sentiment was shared by a lot of the drivers throughout this field. They love Charlotte. They're not necessarily a fan of certain other tracks, and in some cases, Pocono last week. But I think there's a special aura about Charlotte. This is the original mile-and-a-half quad oval-shaped racetrack. This is what all the other ones were based off of when they had the building boom in the 90s and the 2000s. But this track, more than anything, signifies NASCAR in every symbol you could possibly think of. This is the home base for all the major teams. Everybody that's anybody in the sport calls Charlotte home. And although it's been the same racetrack for the last 60 years almost, there's still something special about winning at the home track. You only get those bragging rights twice a year in the Sprint Cup Series, once a year in the Peak Antifreeze Series. This race is special. And because this racetrack has so much grip and likes to lure these drivers into a sense of security, Joe, this racetrack also produces some really great racing because the drivers are confident and they're motivated, arguably more than anywhere else in the circuit.
Tony, I'm going to disagree with you there because while everyone agrees that this is the track to win on, this is the track to be on, and this track's a lot of fun to drive, there is never any security on the racetrack. As we saw just a few laps ago, all it takes is one misstep, one miscalculation, hit the loud pedal too hard, and guess what? You're going for a ride. Sure, these guys are going to have a lot of fun tonight. These guys are really going to show what these cars can do on the virtual track at Charlotte Motor Speedway, but don't expect them to get complacent anytime soon. I guarantee you for a fact, Cody Bias is not complacent as he's got Corey Vincent, Nick Ottinger, Kenny Humpy, and Kevin King all behind him. He's not going to get complacent until he sees a couple more team members behind him. Speaking of which, the team now still running 1st, 5th, 6th, and 7th on the track. I'm sorry, 1st, 4th, 5th, and 6th on the track.
You look back to the 29 from Kenny Humpy. Humpy trying to hold that position over his teammate Kevin King, and that's the one thing that we mentioned as well, Tony. This is a racetrack, and this is a race that everybody wants to win. Daytona is the same way. The short tracks are the same way. They all pay the same amount of points at the end of the day. So these guys want to win this race equally as much as the rest of them because they want to look at that championship, especially if you're a guy like Kenny Humpy who wants to get every position that he can. Back here around the 2, we have Chad Lawton in the 26 and Taylor Hurst in the 74. That 26 car, let's get a look at that 26 car. The team ran a paint scheme contest on the forums on iRacing. The winner was Cosman at Splash and Go Graphics. He won a team hat, and look at that paint, Tony. That is a beautiful paint scheme.
It really is, Tim, and that's one thing I love about the iRacing community. Sure, we have fans that tune in on Fans Choice and the Peak Auto website and MRN site and everywhere around the world, but there is such talent in the iRacing community at various levels. Some guys are great strategists. Some guys simply have a knack for knowing how races are going to turn out, different things. One of the which has really been recognized by the top tiers of NASCAR is the graphic design elements. In fact, there are drivers in this field that have had their race cars running at the Sprint Cup Series level, their designs. Most notably coming to mind, the driver of the number 29, Kevin King. Remember the original Mountain Dew National Guard paint scheme? Yeah, that was Kevin King, if memory serves me, that designed that one. I know he designed Kevin Harvick's former Reese's Cup scheme back in the, what was then Busch Series or Nationwide or now Xfinity. And some of these other drivers have as well. J.D. Laird, who with JDR Graphics, who paints a lot of the cars for the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, Joe, he actually designed one of the original Diet Mountain Dew schemes as well for Dale Jr. So there have been a lot of people at the top level of the iRacing community who have seen these designs and their talents be recognized by people elsewhere in the sport, and certainly kudos to those who have done so. And again, proves again, the paint scheme on that 26 car for Lawton, case in point, another fine piece of work.
That's all fine and dandy, Tony, but I gotta ask you something. Reese's? Really?
Yes.
Reese's.
Well, whatever.
reset.
Potato,
It's a
potato,
possessive
tomato,
noun.
tomato. You know.
I'm just saying, it's a possessive noun.
It's good. It's chocolate and peanut butter. It's perfect, okay? I don't care how you pronounce it. It tastes good.
There is that. I will definitely give that to you. You're absolutely right, though, Tony. This is the beautiful thing about this sim is that anybody from any walk of life can get involved. All you need is a PC. All you need is a PC, and all you need is a steering wheel and a little bit of courage to make it work out there, and you too could find yourself running in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. Now, if you've never experienced iRacing, we've got a great promo for you. Just go to iRacing.com. Use our promo code you see at the bottom of our screen, 2015-PSR-TV. If you buy 1 month, we'll give you 2 months free and throw in the late model as well, so you can get started on all the oval racing and anything you want to do here in the iRacing sim. Go to iRacing.com, use our promo code you see at the bottom of your screen there, 2015-PSR-TV. Buy 1 month, get 2 months free, and we'll give you the late model absolutely free as we continue racing here at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
58 of Kenny Humpy going to go at the 05 of Nick Ottinger. And Tony, we saw it that last lap. It looked like the 58 got to the inside. The 05 gave him enough room to get down there, but Humpy could not complete the pass off the corner with the room he was given. And now he has to get back behind the 05 and reset up that pass and try to get by him. Meanwhile, as they did that, it slowed up that pack. That pack that was 6 is now 4, and the top 2 getting away just by a little bit with Bias and the 10 of Corey Vincent leading this field. The 05, the 58, they're going to try to reel them back in, and meanwhile the 36 of Justin Bolton giving a little peek to his teammate Kevin King from time to time as well. This time by, we are 25 laps completed.
And keep in mind, Tim, this group still has yet to come to pit road. We're about halfway through a fuel run. This race beginning to get that green flag look to it. We see various distinct packs throughout the entire field, and that means one thing. This race, everybody's starting to race those around them, and they're not so much worried about trying to really leapfrog a lot of positions. They're starting to get in that long run mode, and I think Kenny Humpy also is starting to get in long run mode. He's not going to take any unnecessary chances to get by Nick Ottinger. He realizes he's in a solid top 5 spot. And even though it's only race number 7 of 2015, Kenny Humpy, I believe, is points racing because he knows how valuable that lead is that he has. And as he gets later and later in the season, if he can keep it, it affords him some chances to have some bad races.
Well, something you have to also remember here, Tony and Tim, is this season's just about halfway over. After next week, we will be officially have jumped over the hump. Then we'll have 4 more races until the unofficial NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series chase begins, where we dump the lowest finish by these drivers and get a real feel for what these points look like and where everyone's going to finish, as it were. So right now, points racing is critical, as you see Humpy now getting around that 10 machine, joining the 05 of Ottinger and the 29 of Kevin King, as they all get around the 10 machine of Corey Vincent. It's important, it's critical to do that points racing, as I was saying a second ago. Even though they're making the pass, it's critical to that points racing, not to stress out the car, not to stress out yourself, and most importantly, run as if the position matters, as if tonight your season could end. Because guess what? If you don't run that way, your season could end a whole lot sooner rather than later.
Ooh, Kenny Humpy in the 58 to the inside of the 05 of Nick Ottinger, and he nearly had to get on the grass to do that and make that move stick, and Humpy will move up to position number 2. Here comes the 29 of Kevin King, now stalking the 05 of Nick Ottinger. Kevin King looking for a top 3 run, and Tony, he's had some great runs this season. This might be the earliest we've seen Kevin King in a race push to the front of the field. He's going to go underneath the 05 of Ottinger, being told that Conti might be coming down pit road under the next couple of laps or so. So keep a half eye on Michael Conti, who may be heading pit side.
In fact, Michael Conti is on pit road in the Peak Blue Death Chevrolet, and that car is almost out of control, rolling through the stall. Something definitely very much amiss on the Michael Conti machine, and problems for him. Looks like his night is going to be over as Justin Bolton. A little bit of an issue there with Nick Ottinger, as Ottinger now falls back to the 5th position, and strangely, Corey Vincent, who was running at the front earlier, He has fallen back now outside the top 5. Very quietly, the pole sitter might not be having the fastest car at the end of the night. We'll see how it all shakes out in the course of 200 laps. Only 32 laps complete, still a long way to go. 85% of this race is left, guys.
Absolutely it is, and now we're almost getting to the point of pit stops. Pit window tonight should be plus or minus 50 laps out there on the track. So I think a lot of these guys, like the 10 of Corey Vincent, who loses another position to Chad Lawton, you're going to see them make some major adjustments when they go into pit road. Nick Ottinger may make an adjustment as well, as we're going to break up the team blockade, getting around the 36 of Justin Bolton that time by to move up to position number 4. No retaliation from Nick Ottinger. Very clean pass as he makes it through. Now up front, it's still the top 3 team leading this race. Cody Bias, Kenny Humpy, Kevin King. These guys seem to have the setup to beat right now, as Cody Bias has a huge lead over teammate Kenny Humpy, over half a second and counting.
And what we saw about 10 laps ago or 15 laps ago was the top 6. You could throw a blanket over them. They were running single file. And now, as you mentioned, Tony, we see the 10 of Corey Vincent falling back through the field, the 26 of Chad Lawton coming towards the front of the field. So we're at that point now, lap 35. We have about 15 or 20 laps or so before these guys come down pit road. We did have that early caution. Some of these guys may be able to stretch a little further than the 50 lap mark that we talked to some of these teams earlier about. So it's getting to that point where we're seeing some guys that, like a Corey Vincent, falling back, going to make some adjustments on pit road, I'm sure.
Going to have to make some adjustments, Tim, no doubt. And that's, or it could just be simply the fact that they're playing a little bit of poker. I mean, Corey Vincent is not eternally far behind the leader, Cody Bias. Yeah, he's 2.5 seconds, and maybe that car isn't where he wants it right now, but maybe, just maybe, he's saving a little bit. I don't necessarily believe that at the moment, but it is entirely possible. As there goes Chad Lawton. Speaking of saving things, Lawton going to try to save himself a spot at the dinner table tonight. Up to 5th for Lawton. Bolton now back to 6th. And what I am noticing is that these cars from the team, Joe, as we get closer and closer to the end of the run, they're getting faster and faster and faster. Humpy's closing in on the lead. Bolton's moving forward. Lawton's moving forward. Once again, as we said at the outset of the show, if you drive for the team, you are a driver that everybody else is gunning to beat.
One car looks like it's having a lot of issues out there right now is a 5 of Michael Conti. You see him getting back on track in the box right now, but earlier he had some major issues down on pit road, overshot his box, and then the car just started drifting backwards, back off pit road. Now Conti's back on track. He's going to get back into pit road and try that pit stop all over again. But what I think, guys, was supposed to be a strategic move to try to break up the pit cycle in case we do have a rash of yellow fever at the end of the race, kind of backfired as a result of that incident. And now Conti's going to be digging out of a huge hole later on in this race as Conti goes back around for service from his crew.
Tony, it's a little bit easier when you're in a virtual race car to head to the bathroom, or if you have some sort of issue. We might have just seen that with Michael Conti having to come down pit road and having to attend to something, and obviously he's having some other issues down there on pit road trying to find his box and other things. Adam Gilliland is 20 laps down right now. He had a little bit of doings with that first wreck of the evening. Brad Davies is 1 lap down. Everybody else on the racetrack, 39 strong, currently on the lead lap, though Byron Daly is about to go a lap down to the leaders, who we are about to have a battle for the lead with, as the 27 of Cody Bias has company with Kenny Humpy. Humpy has closed in on the Elwood Designs number 27, and Humpy may be poised to lead his first laps of the evening here.
Watch as they get to the Byron Daly machine. Look who else is closing on this battle very quietly. Kevin King now. Car links behind the top 2 as Humpy looks to the outside in the quad oval. Nothing there through the double dog leg. Negotiating Byron Daly's slower car. His Toyota might be the answer that Kenny Humpy needs to get to the front of the field. 42 laps complete this time by. We're already 1/5 distance here at Charlotte, and Humpy peeks to the outside. Nothing there. Daly up the racetrack. This could be the moment that Kenny Humpy is looking for. Down to the grass. They'll get by Byron Daly without incident, But Kenny Humpy, no doubt, wants a piece of the lead, and here he goes looking in turn 1. Cody Bias will slam the door in his face. They'll stay single file off turn number 2.
So Cody Bias and Kenny Humpy still deciding between themselves who's going to lead the next set of laps, and I think whoever leads the next set of laps is going to lead the entire team down pit road as we get ready for green flag pit stops here in about 5 laps or so. Lots of guys starting to feel comfortable here at Charlotte Motor Speedway and starting to feel comfortable with the track. A lot of guys coming from the back now in order to make their voices heard. For instance, Chad Lawton started position number 14, now sitting position number 5. Tyler Hudson, your 2013 champion, started position number 27, now sitting position number 10. Then there's guys like Danny Hansen, Brian Day, started at the very back of this field, have cut it in half, and now sitting in the top 20. Guys, this first round of pit stops, I think, is going to be the most important because now that guys see what their cars are doing, see how their cars are reacting out there, they're going to start making those big changes, those bold changes in the car that are going to allow them to even climb further into the car, into the field.
Yeah, Corey Vincent has fallen to position number 8 right now. We talked about him running up front earlier. Michael J. Johnson we're looking at. We'll look at his in-car webcam, and he has company in the 47 of Chris Overland. Overland now to the inside. The 24 of Nathan Y is going to be a part of this battle as well. Lead back there, that might be Alex Scribner, and Matt Busa a part of this battle as well. Busa made the move the last lap on Scribner, and now he'll look to the inside. The freight train's coming through on the 39 of Michael Johnson, as Johnson falling back from what was position number 12.
Certainly not good news for Michael J. Johnson as you fall back to the field. That's not what you want to see, but he started 13th, so he's been right around this part of the running order throughout the course of the night. And one thing, again, guys, to keep in mind, there are a handful of drivers, about half the field, who pitted on the lap 8 caution. They can go a little bit further than the leaders, and if something were to happen during the round of green flag pit stops, they would be in the catbird seat sitting pretty. And again, if this race goes green, they're also in the catbird seat sitting pretty. But as this field expands, that advantage gets smaller and smaller because those who pitted, they haven't really done a great job of moving up through the field. Some of these guys that stayed out, that started in the back, like Brian Day or Danny Hansen, they really haven't lost any ground. They haven't gained any ground either. They're at the back of the top 20, which tells me, Joe, this race is very much becoming a game of track position here tonight. He who has the best track position after the first 5 or 6 laps of a run might be the guy that has the advantage at the end of that set of laps.
Not so fast, my friend. As you've seen a lot of guys climb through this field. Tyler Hudson now started 27th. He's sitting in 9th right now. You've seen guys work through this field. You've seen guys being able to climb the ladder all the way up. So, Tony, I defy your logic, and I say to you, with the right setup and with the right adjustments after this first pit stop, you're going to see some guys really, I think, start to make this work. Make this car work for them, make this track work for them, and start getting bold, start feeling empowered to make those moves out there. The question is, who's going to be the first one to try it?
You're looking at the 4 car, the Plan B sales number 4 of Brian Day. He has moved towards the front of the field. I say towards because he started in P41. He is up to P16 right now, and he is looking to pick up a couple of more positions here. He picks off the 50 of Alex Scribner to move himself to P15, and he'll look to pick up a couple more here. That car looks good as the run goes on. He might have a couple less laps than those guys in front of him, as we have Johnson, I believe it is, coming down pit road.
First one of those who did not pit on pit road, Michael J. Johnson, with our onboard camera for that matter. He'll come down to the attention of the crew, and we anticipate it will be 4 tires and virtual Sunoco Racing fuel for the driver who started on the inside of row number 7. And Chad Lawton just about had a moment on the racetrack in the interim, but it is, again, 4 tires, fuel, and a refresher for the driver on pit road for Michael J. Johnson. Let's see who else now is going to see their hand forced by this round of pit stops.
Humpy will pit this time by. Tyler Laughlin trying to figure out when he's going to come in, and now Kenny Humpy will be the first member of the team on pit road. Straightens it out as it gets down to 55-mile-per-hour speed limit, and he's going to be a very lonely man as Chad Lawton, Justin Bolton, the teammates are going to leave him behind in order to get his service. More guys coming on pit road, it looks like, as we get ready for wholesale pit stops to start happening. It'll be Danny Hansen coming off pit road this time by Cody Bias, and now Chad Lawton. Chad Lawton coming off. Cody Bias coming down pit road this time by.
And Kevin King and Nick Ottinger going to follow him through. It'll hand the lead over to Ray Alfala in car number 2. That's a big point for Ray Alfala, but Bias will come down to the attention of his crew this time. Kevin King behind him. And Tony, the one thing that we've really been seeing when we're watching here with Ray Alfala as he comes down this time by, or is expected to, the entry, a lot of these guys have been really storming the entry to not leave any time on the table. It almost bit Chad Lawton. He almost went for a ride in the grass.
He just about did, and Ray Alfala almost in the same boat. His Ford twitching as it comes off the banking. He gets it down to the pit road speed limit as Tyler Hudson will take over the lead for one lap, and his Ford will cross the stripe as the leader. So 2 out of the 3 Peak family of drivers have led tonight, but one that we're watching right now is Ray Alfala. He is down for service. Again, 4 tires and fuel on his Ford Fusion. Once this all cycles around, I believe Chris Overland is going to end up as the leader, as here comes Tyler Hudson now in his Peak number 01 down for service. Again, 4 tires and fuel expected from the Mississippi driver's car, and that will essentially complete the first half of this round of green flag stops. About, 7 or 8 laps from now, we should see everybody else on pit road, Joe.
Certainly wouldn't surprise me as the rest of the field getting ready to make their stops sooner rather than later. A lot of guys now on pit road. Brad Davies, Casey Tucker, Adam Gillen still on. Brad Davies are on. Kyler Hudson, the 01 machine, coming off pit road this time by. Alex Scribner coming off pit road. Nathan Wise, Byron Daly coming off pit road. And now it's a matter of not when do you come down, it's more a matter of when will you be forced to come down. Because if you haven't pitted, you're going to have to make that move here very, very quickly. Matt Booza, now the leader, as a former leader, Chris Overland went down to pit road.
4-car Brian Day misses pit road. He's going to have to slide that thing in the
that
grass.
might bring out caution.
Bring a caution flag or not. He's going to bring it down pit road through the grass. We're going to stay green, I believe, here somehow. That was close for Brian Day in the number 4. Going to lose a lot of time on the racetrack, though. Overland was in the last lap. Jake Sturgis, who used to do a lot of these fuel mileage games, he was down on pit road 2 laps ago. And here comes the live sim racing TV 34 of Matt Busa.
Busa on pit road. You see Brian Day, he bypassed serving an unsafe pit entry penalty. He missed the commitment cone on entry with that slide. And again, that could have thrown a wrench into how this all played out. But luckily, officials did not throw the caution for Brian Day as he sat helplessly in the grass. Busa's down again, 4 tires and fuel. Most everybody else coming down pit road here momentarily. Patrick Crabtree is in for service. PJ Sturgis coming down now to the attention of his crew. Only a couple cars left. Timo Avonen, Benjamin Burmeister, Landon Harrison, Brian Schoenberg still on the racetrack. So a handful banking on this caution that could come, but looks like it's probably not going to happen, and they are going to be forced down pit road momentarily.
Tim Avonen, your leader, will come down pit road this time by. Benjamin Burmeister, Lyndon Harrison, Brian Schoenberg, Andy Fayash will all be eventually forced down pit road as well. And when everything cycles through, your leader should be the 58 of Kenny Humpy, Cody Bias in second, Kevin King, Justin Bolton, Chad Lawton, your top 5, once everything cycles around for the first set of pit stops. Guys, really impressed, with the exception of Brian Day, the Plan B sales driver who's now looking for his own Plan B. A lot, very, very clean pit stops all the way around. All these drivers have a lot to pat themselves in the back on for that.
66 car stays out on the racetrack this time by our German driver. Benjamin Burmeister is the leader. The Last Row Motorsports, number 66. And look at second place right now. That's Landon Harrison. And remember 2 weeks ago, Tony, at Pocono when we had those fuel mileage going on? It was Landon Harrison in a top 5 run as well. So Landon Harrison trying to parlay this as well. Behind him, though, they're scattering around the 9 at Tyler Hill.
They are scattering everywhere, Tim, and that's why this is such a dangerous situation sometimes. Here comes Harrison to pit road. Here comes Burmeister to pit road. That leaves Andy Fayash the third, but he too will peel off the banking, and that's going to leave Kenny Humpy as the leader by about 2 seconds over Cody Bias once we cycle through. So mark it on the leaderboard. 62 laps complete. Kenny Humpy will cycle through as the race leader, first time tonight. And with the advantage he has behind him, it might be a long night for the rest of the competition.
It's going to be a long night for the rest of us. We got 3 more of those to go through here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. So now that everything's cycled out, let's cycle you through where the top 10 are right now. Kenny Humpy, no surprise, back in control of this race on lap 63. He'll come back down pit road around lap 100, 101 or so. Cody Bias in second, Kevin King in third, Justin Bolton in fourth, meaning the team controls the top 4 positions in this race. Chad Lawton now in fifth, Ray Alfala, the 2-time champion, in sixth, Corey Vincent in seventh, Tyler Hudson will round out eighth, Tyler Hurst ninth, and Danny Hansen will round out your top 10. Very interesting cast of who's who up front, but no surprise, the team back in control here in the NASCAR Big Antifreeze Series.
I could be wrong, but a couple of those drivers that stayed out to lap 62, I believe they were the drivers that were down on the caution flag, the first caution flag of the race. So they can just go just under 60 laps, let's put it that way, or just over 50 laps on their fuel mileage. It's not going to split it up into a 2-stop race, Tony, but if we do get down to the end of it, where strategy does come into play, and let's say we have a caution with 60 laps to go, it might put in that maybe these guys can come close to making it and push it a little bit further. Keep an eye on that as we go forward here in this event. Lap 66 being worked on the board, and we're looking at, I believe that's the 32 of Danny Hansen. He won this race last year. He had to put a little bit of strategy up to get near the front of the field, and he is up in the top 10.
And unlike last year, Tim, where there were 11 cautions in the course of the evening and somebody else had a lot of laps, we haven't seen that yet. Here tonight as we close in on the 100-mile mark, lap 67. Next time by will be 1/3 distance here in this 300-miler at Charlotte. But Hansen came home the victor tonight. The SegPay number 32 could be in prime shape to do just that again. Doesn't seem to have the fastest car, but very impressive. Stayed out on the lap 8 pit stop that some drivers came in to get track position, held on to it, kept moving forward, and after starting 42nd on the field, cracking the top 10 by mile number 100, that is a pretty awesome accomplishment for Danny Hansen. And if he can keep moving forward, it could be another victory for Danny Hansen if everything falls his way. But got a feeling at 11 seconds behind the leader, Joe, he's going to need a little bit of help, and that's going to have to come in the form of a caution flag or a mistake from those up front.
That's absolutely agree. I'm not going to argue that point at all with you there, Tony, because the team drivers just so strong and so dominant once again on the field, guys. And because of that, if anyone else wants to try to take control of this race, they're going to have to pry it through the hands of Kenny Humpy, Cody Bias, and company out there. And I don't see that happening unless we see a rash of caution flags. That being said, because this is such a racy little track, such a competitive place where everyone likes to run, it wouldn't surprise me that by the end of the race, we wouldn't start seeing yellow, reset yellow, because, race car.
Cody Bias seems to be chipping into the lead that Kenny Humpy has. He got about a half-tenth the last time by and continues to reel in driver number 58, his teammate, Kenny Humpy. And you look down the top 5, gentlemen, it's all the team. Kenny Humpy, Cody Bias, Kevin King, Justin Bolton, and Chad Lawton, your top 5. We mentioned Danny Hansen and that Drill Isle team not running the way they have wanted to this season. They've struggled at some racetracks. Aftermath Motorsports in the same boat. Tyler Hill had a top 5 run at Pocono through all that strategy. He currently runs in P15 right now, so that's the bright spot for that Aftermath Motorsports team. Hill within the top 15 right now.
And doing solid. Won his first Pro Series race here at Charlotte, what seems like forever ago, but it was just in the off-season for the NASCAR Big Antifreeze Series. And really, if a driver ever had a knack for a racetrack and a confidence builder, this is going to be it for Tyler Hill to come in here. And he's had a couple of good runs. He had a solid run at Pocono, for that matter, a few weeks ago. 16th in points coming into tonight. And a solid run here really reaffirms what you do, or for that matter, sometimes do not know about your race car. So Tyler Hill at 15th, having a good run. Up front, it's still Kenny Humpy, Cody Bias, Kevin King, Chad Lawton, and Justin Bolt. A moment ago, you just saw there Tyler Hill on your... Oh, trouble! Hits it, goes around, turn number 1. Somehow he saves it. Contact from the double clutch Menard Chevy of Chris Overland. How in the world did Danny Hansen save that race car? No contact, will stay green, and Danny Hansen needs a change of clothes inside that 32.
Danny Hansen, miraculous save out there after the contact with the 47 of Danny Hansen and Chris Overland. And I've got to say, that was huge for Danny Hansen. He's going to need a new set of tires on that car, but the good news is he didn't get a whole lot of damage on it. He was able to save the framework, he saved the aero on it, and he can get back in this race. But now, more than ever, he will need that caution flag in order to get back up with the rest of the field. Meanwhile, Alex Scribner gets around the number 9 of Tyler Hill, so moves Scribner up the position, while Brad Davies down on pit road getting some work done.
The 6 and 34 are side-by-side back here. Pretty nice little battle between Trey Eidson and Matt Busa. But one driver I saw back there, Tony, when Danny Hansen made that slide, did you catch what happened to Nick Ottinger? Because he's running right now in 21st position. Check that, running 19th right now and about to be 18th as he passes the Infinite Creative Solutions number 6. I'm not sure what happened to Nick Ottinger. Maybe Chuck Johnson can get an ear on that, but he may have had some issues on pit road.
Yeah, Tim, I believe he was about 10 seconds long on pit road, about a 25-second stop. So either a penalty or some sort of damage they had to repair on the 05. Either way, a horrible, horrible set of stops for Nick Ottinger. Now has him playing catch-up in the 18th spot. Just worked his way around the, now chasing down the number 57 of PJ Sturgis. Brian Blackford behind him as well. And Ottinger, this just seems to be his MO this season. Great car, fast race car, potential to win, and something happens. Whether it's getting into the leader on the last lap, going for the win, whether it's a penalty, whether it is stupid luck, something always seems to go wrong for Nick Ottinger this year. Somebody please find that kid a 4-leaf clover because he needs it the way 2015's gone.
Yeah, unfortunately, he really does, and you'd think that with him being so close to Charlotte, living under the lights of Hickory Motor Speedway, he'd be able to make it turn around tonight and make it work for him, but not so much so far. But, you know, it's still early. We still got plenty of racing. Remember, guys, this is the longest race we run on the circuit, 200 laps, and we're only 79 in and counting. Still plenty of racing to be had here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and if there's going to be a comeback kid in this field, Nick Ottinger is a good guy to put your money on.
Danny Hansen continues to fall through the field. The 32 car had an issue the last lap by and trying to find his footing right now after that slide that he had a few laps ago. Just had another one a couple laps after that, and he's going to need a caution flag and need a caution flag really, really quickly because he continues to fall through this field. That's Byron Daly behind him. He is currently 1 lap off the pace. Danny Hansen currently scored in 24th, but a second or so behind your winner from 2 weeks ago, Alan Bowes, who runs in 23rd right now. Up in front, it's about status quo. Kenny Humpy, Cody Bias, 1.4 seconds. It looked like Cody Bias was really reeling in his teammate, but then he kind of hit a wall, and that gap has stabilized the last few laps to 1.4 to 1.5 seconds between your top two. So looks like Kenny Humpy, Cody Bias, they might be content to ride right now.
Tim, I was watching the exact same thing as we were looking at battles throughout the pack. The stopwatch does not lie, and Bias was closing in, and now it has stabilized between himself and leader Kenny Humpy. 81 laps in the books this time, and I think Bias would be wiser just to see what he can learn from Kenny Humpy, but he doesn't want to lose too much time. As we've seen already, Humpy picked up about 2 seconds on the first round of pit stops just in the exchange, getting on and off pit road and, of course, having the stop itself. If that trend continues, Humpy will be out by 4 or 5 seconds the next round of pit stops, so Bias can't let him get away, but now the interval is going the opposite direction. Bias is losing a couple hundredths of a second a lap, and that's not good if you're trying to chase down the current series point leader, Kenny Humpy.
All right, but let me throw this theory out for you guys here. Yes, Kenny Humphrey is the points leader. Yes, Kenny Humphrey is the guy everyone wants to beat right now. But look who's behind him. He's got effectively the entire team, all the team drivers behind him. So Kenny Humphrey won't necessarily feel that pressure behind him because he knows that he's got backup supporting him and helping him to put out there. Now, would we like to win? Sure. Would anybody like to win at this track? Absolutely. If there is one track on the circuit you want to win at, it's Charlotte Motor Speedway, because we don't have a Talladega in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series just quite yet. So, would everyone like to win? Sure. Is it in the best interest of the team, though? That's a question you guys have to speculate on until the
58 car of Kenny Humphrey just passed Andrew Fayash III, and he will put him one lap down. Tony, we have at least two retirees right now in this race. Brad Davies, Adam Gilliland have both retired for the evening, and Adam Gilliland had a new spotter, a returning spotter this evening, Ryan Hepner. That is a short relationship this evening for those two. Michael Conti still sits on pit road, 53 laps down. We don't expect him to be back out on the racetrack this evening. Brian Day's 2 laps down. There's 4 drivers that are 1 lap down. The other 34 currently scored on the lead lap. And Landon Harrison, Brian Schoenberg, Benjamin Burmeister, they're battling amongst themselves right now, but they've got to get going, because if they don't, they're going to fall a lap down. And actually, it's Timu Ivonen, Benjamin Burmeister, and Tiloff battling for a position. Then Schoenberg and Harrison going at it just about a half second or so behind that battle.
Yeah, and that's a pretty good battle further back in the field, almost towards the back, the absolute back of the field for sure. Closing in on Danny Hansen, who, as we've documented, had some issues earlier. He'll be falling into their grasp momentarily, but this is where it's really frustrating to run right now. All the way back here at the back of the field. Why? You know you're a top 10 driver. You know you're a top 10 team. You made it to this level of the sport, in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. You didn't do it by running 25th or 30th, but somebody's got to run there. That's that simple, and that's one of the problems these guys face back here, is sometimes they'll take chances and do things maybe otherwise they wouldn't do just because they're in a place they aren't used to. Speaking of things they're not used to, Nathan Wise, Joe, he's back at about the 12th spot right now. That car I've seen the last couple laps has been a handful, trying to fend off Matt Busa, trying to hold off Michael J. Johnson, but Nathan Wise has got his hands all over that steering wheel. Luckily for him, it's about 12 to 15 laps before we're all due for before everybody's due for pit stops once again.
The line I've got there that I'm not going to use, but yes, Nathan Wise definitely has his hands all over that wheel. But I digress. Nathan Wise really doing a great job handling that car. You know he's going to be around lap 100 as some of these guys start making their pit stops. You know he's going to be one of the first guys down there to try to get some of that service done. Now in front of him, 2 cars make contact. It's going to be the Chris Overland, the 47 machine, Rob Ackley, the 22. They made contact coming off of turn number 2, now on the backstretch single file, as behind them the 74 machine gets right beside them as they continue to race on the track.
Yeah, it closes in that 34-74 battle that is side by side. The 22-47. Rob Ackley was right behind Nathan Wise when Wise had his first slide, so he backed out. Chris Overland got a position, and now Ackley trying once again to get that position back. The 34 of Matt Busa makes the move on Taylor Hurst, and Nathan Wise is going to try to pick up one of the positions that he dropped about 5 laps ago when he made that slide off corner number 4. Busa getting a little bit of the apron, trying to get that car, Tony, to turn a little bit better for him, and he's pulling away from the 24 and 74. 74, 05, 39, and 57. All over the back bumper, that 24. Nathan Wise continues to slide backwards.
Tim, there's a lot of grip down there on that white line. You don't want to get under that line, however, because it'll de-wedge the race car and free it up to the point it becomes out of control, and that can become a real major issue before the race is over with. But if you put that left front right on the white line, there is, in fact, a little bit of grip there. And speaking of grip, just behind that bunch, Nick Ottinger now moving forward, trying to pick up a spot from Taylor Hurst. Remember, he had problems on the first round of pit stops, now being shown in the 14th spot. It'll be 13th he just claimed from Taylor Hurst. so he is moving forward. He'll probably crack the top 10 before this run of, or this stint is over, but I think he needs a caution to get anywhere back near the top 5. Tough break for the Rheem Camry of Nick Ottinger as he continues to claw his way back up the leaderboard.
One driver that's probably not going to be in that top 10 group is 51 Monster Energy Chevrolet of Tyler Laughlin. T-Loft telling his spotter, I'm having a hard time conserving these tires underneath me. I can't be competitive and be able to work this car forward. So E.J. O'Rourke and Tyler Laughlin having a little bit of discussion here of what they need to do on the second half of this race in order to make that 51 more competitive down the pike.
Top two continue to be 1.6 seconds between each other, and it looks like Cody Bias is going to have a little bit of lap traffic to deal with in position number 2. Timo Ivonen and the 77 of Andrew Fash III battling for position side by side in front of your second place driver right now as Timu goes underneath the number 77. Battles all over this racetrack, though. We talked about that little battle back there with Nick Ottinger, Nathan Wise, Sturgis, all those guys up there. Ottinger continuing to push towards the front of the field, but Tony, that push is soon going to come to pit road, but a half dozen to a dozen laps or so before we see these guys back on pit road again, and we're only 4 laps away from the halfway point of this event.
If that, Tim, most of them pitted between lap 50 and 55, so I would expect seeing some of them on pit road anytime in the next 3 to 4 laps, up to, as you said, about a dozen laps or so away. You can make it here on 3 stops, I think, in most cases, but it just depends on how your car's handling, how it's consuming tires and fuel for that matter, and what your overall plan is for later in the race. And, of course, as always, a caution flag could throw a wrench into all of it. As you're watching the 47 of Chris Overland, he's one of these cars that I think needs to come to pit road, not so much because the handle is going away, but at the back of the top 10, he's had a couple of incidents, Joe. He's gotten into Danny Hansen. He's gotten into Rob Ackley. Nothing substantial, but every little ding. You just want to come down pit road, get it checked out, make sure it's fixed, because mentally, all that will weigh on you, and sometimes it slows you down more from the mental standpoint than it does the actual car standpoint.
Well, that's something we talked about in the pre-race, too. The mental dexterity here is going to be just as important as the physical dexterity. It's going to be just as important as the physical condition of these automobiles running here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. So Overland, yes, he does have a car that's competitive. He's showing he's got a car that's competitive tonight, but it wouldn't hurt to spend an extra moment down on pit road, just take a look at the car, make sure there are no optional adjustments or optional repairs needed on this machine, just for that peace of mind, so we can run the second half of this race with that bold spirit in order to try to walk away with a solid top 10 finish, if not top 5 finish here. Corey Benson, the 10th machine, will be the first one down on pit road, exactly scoring lap number 100, and your pole sitter will break the seal for the second round of pit stops.
The 9 and the 51 also down on pit road. That is the Aftermath Motorsports team. They're going to come down at the halfway point. The 3 of Brandon Schmidt going to come down on pit road this time by. We await to see what your leaders do. Kenny Humpy has now built a 2.2 second lead. Most of that, Tony, in the last couple of laps has been lap traffic. Cody Bias has had a time and a half trying to get past some of these lap cars, and he's fallen back. Doing so, he has Byron Daly now to the outside and the 77 of Andrew Fayash in front of him. That's hurt Cody Bias the last 5 laps.
It really has, Tim, and what's even worse is when you get down to the end of one of these runs, the car just doesn't have the grip because you're sliding around on old tires, and sometimes that makes it a little more difficult. More cars on pit road. Taylor Hurst comes down for service. I see Casey Tucker coming down for service. Alex Warren is in as well. A few of the cars further towards the back of the running order, but that extra maneuverability you get with 4 tires here, yes, it makes you go faster, but it also helps in maneuvering around traffic and trying to slice your way forward, Joe, because the car has that much more positive response. When you turn the wheel, when you do something, you're not as on edge trying to slide your way around the Charlotte Motor Speedway. As more cars, again, on pit road, there come a couple other cars towards the back of the field making their way down for service. Nobody at the front of the field yet. Ryan Lowe, Alan Pose, they'll come in, but still waiting on the leader, Kenny Humpy, as well as Chad Lawton and the rest of the top 5.
So now down on pit road, lots of other drivers coming in. Brian Blackford said he's going to come in. Kevin King, Patrick Crabtree are going to come in this time by. And now here comes the 58 of Kenny Humpy. He will now join the teammates down on pit road. And now the complexion of the race has changed once again.
The only one in the top 5 to not come down pit road, Joe, was Chad Lawton in the 26. The rest of his teammates are down on pit road. And that 26 car, that new Cosman painted car, is now going to lead a lap. He's got Alex Warren and a bunch of others to his inside. He may not be able to come in this time by. Finding a hole here. Does he come down onto pit road? He comes off of corner number 4. He will head to pit road. And a lot cleaner entry this time than the last time by.
Tim, that was almost something spectacular for Brandon Schmidt, who was there on the bottom. He had nowhere to go almost, but somehow Chad Lawton got at the pit road. Tyler Hudson is in for service. Here comes the 05 of Nick Ottinger. Nathan Wise is down, so is Alex Scribner in his Toyota. Looks like most everyone going to complete this round of pit stops. And we'll have a few stragglers who stay out as they did on the last round of pit stops, but looks like a lot of cars coming in a little bit earlier maybe than what we expected so far. And surprisingly, Ray Alfala has not been down pit road yet. Might the Ford bunch from Slip Angle have discovered something on the fuel mileage side, Joe?
I think what they're trying to do is set themselves up in case we have a rash of yellow fever at the end of the race. They're trying to set themselves up so if the yellow flag comes out, Alfala could potentially stay out, and Alfala could compete for the win if everybody else is forced to come back down pit road or elects to come down pit road. It's not a bad strategy as now the 54 Brandon Bowie comes down pit road. It's not a bad strategy, but as we saw last week, as we saw 2 weeks ago in both iRacing Night and the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, fuel mileage gains, unless you do it exactly right, can hurt you at the end of the day. And and Ray Alfala with nothing to lose now, great try to now, but it could come back to bite him later.
2 car of Alfala stays out. Overland should be in this time by in the double clutch Menards, number 47. He is slowing down and heading towards pit road. And PJ Sturgis was down the last lap. Tony, that's the Slip Angle LRM race team working together. Those top 3 a couple laps ago, trying to extend it a little bit on fuel mileage. We expect the Vision of Flight, number 2, down this time by. Ray Alfala slowing down. There's Kenny Humpy going around on the outside. That is big as he comes down into pit road here, does the 2, and he's going to woe it up to the 50-mile-an-hour speed limit and head down to the attention of his crew. But Kenny Humpy, you just saw him. He should retain your lead when all this cycles through.
Humpy, in fact, will cycle around to be the race leader, and once again, he's got a pretty substantial lead now, making about 2.5 to 3 seconds over Cody Bias. Now, both of them have unlapped themselves on the racetrack through this cycle of pit stops, so if the yellow came out, it would not affect them nearly as much as it would, say, Tyler Hudson or Matt Boos or PJ Sturgis, any of those drivers who are being shown at the moment 1 lap in arrears to the leader. And speaking of some of those drivers, watching that pack of them dice their way into turn number 3, there's Sturgis, Wise, Ackley, the 47 of Overland. This is 5, 6, really 8 cars that have been all over one another the last 5 or 6 laps, guys. And if it was not for pit stops happening, I thought we would have probably had a yellow flag from this group because they are getting very rambunctious and very aggressive as we're past the halfway point.
Well, now it's go time. Now you have to start making those moves and figuring out where you want to move and where you want to be when push comes to shove at the end of this race. So expect that rambunctiousness, that restlessness to start picking up as business starts picking up here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. We're halfway through, guys. We don't have an opportunity. We don't have a chance. If you didn't make that move, make it now and don't think twice.
Brandon Bowie leads this field, going to get that extra bonus point for leading a lap. Schoenberg, Burmeister, Evonen, Fayash. Top 5, they have yet to come down pit road. We'll see if Bowie decides to come down here. Is this the lap for the 54? No, it is not. The Elwood Designs 54 stays out on the racetrack. Brian Schoenberg going to do the same. We expect Burmeister and Evonen to do the same. The 2 European drivers from Last Row Motorsports and Andrew Fayash III, 3 wide down the front straightaway with 2 drivers who have already come down pit road. Fayash trying to hold on, but only 4 seconds behind him is Kenny Humpy.
Yeah, in fact, Humpy lapped Fayash on the racetrack. So once it all cycles out, Fayash will be a lap down again, Joe or Tim. So not a huge surprise the way it's all coming out, but Humpy is on a rail. Again, 3 seconds over Cody Bias at this point in the race. Kevin King will cycle around to be running in the 3rd spot. And very, very impressed with the team, Joe. They've had some good runs. They've had 1-2 runs, 1-3-4 runs. They've had a lot of runs, but that have been very, very notable. But this, tonight, I don't think we've seen such domination. This is a statement race for the team. As Brandon Bowie comes down pit road, Brian Schoenberg will inherit the lead to complete lap number 114. His first lap led here tonight at Charlotte. But, Joe, this is a statement race for the team. If they can finish how they're running, 1 through 5, that has got to simply be demoralizing for the rest of the competition.
Well, absolutely it is. As a former leader comes down pit road, and you will relinquish the lead now to the 55 of Brian Schoenberg. It's got to be a little bit demoralizing, but it also wants to make you work that much harder, because at this point, you want to win that race. At this point, you want to do something else. You want to do whatever it is you can to get up there and try to take it away. So, demoralizing, sure, but it should be just as motivating as well, because you're like, you see that guy in front of you, you're like, okay, if he's in front of me, what do I have to do to be better than him?
55 gets punted by the 37.
Oh, wow.
And there they go around at corner number 4. There's the caution flag. The 05 of Ottinger also goes for a spin. And here's what I don't understand, Tony. I'm reading the in-game chat as these guys are coming around this racetrack. They have the option of hitting a key that tells the drivers behind them, I'm pitting in. Brian Schoenberg hit that key down the back straightaway. Apparently Stephen Gilbert, or whoever's spotting for Stephen Gilbert, I think it's Greg McKinney, the 37 didn't get that memo and ran into the back of Schoenberg as Schoenberg was coming down pit road.
Yeah, Tim, not sure exactly what the 37 of Gilbert had going through his mind there. Schoenberg nearly saved it, but had up the racetrack and didn't hit anything. He really got off scot-free, and to be honest with you, it might be a lucky break for Brian Schoenberg. He'll stay on the lead lap, he'll get to come down pit road, and not lose the lap he would have if this cycled around. And look at this. Watch this. Go back on the replay and look at Kenny Humpy's on board. Watch how close it came for the number 58 Chevrolet of Kenny Humpy as it came off turn 4. You see ahead of him all the chaos is getting ready to unfold, and it's just amazing that he was able to get through that. Thread the needle. It's like Moses in the Red Sea. That's what it was. Humpy had nowhere to go, and finally the sea parted, and there he was in front as the leader. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. Kenny Humpy was both in that instance, I think, Joe.
You know, I'm going to give a shout to Nick Ottinger, too, the 05 machine, seeing the trouble in front of him, nowhere to go. If he keeps it on the loud pedal, he can potentially punt the 55 even further and ruins his night. If anybody else, if he slows it down, he could get punted. So what does he do? He spins it. He puts it in the spin cycle, hits nothing out there, and all it's going to cost him is a set of tires. Nick Ottinger, smart move in order to avoid the trouble. Yeah, he'll be back in 30th, scored right now, but it's worth it to keep that 05 Rheem Toyota clean.
A lot of guys did some gambling. Ray Alfala, Tyler Hill among them, 2 tires on those cars. We'll recap everything when we come back to the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing.
Sorry, guys. I never would have thought making duck calls would have stirred up this much excitement.
No kidding. Got him coming up here.
Shortcut time!
That's what I'm talking about.
Ah!
You sure this is a good idea?
Oh, yeah. I got this. I can't guarantee you how this will end, but Pete can guarantee your radiator for life. Introducing the Peak Run True Guarantee. Check it out at peakguarantee.com.
Welcome back to the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing. It's Humpy, Alfala, Fayash, Bias, Burmeister, top 5. No, that's not a typo. Here we go. Green flag flies. We're back underway, and Tony, Kenny Humpy is gone. Behind him, there's some strategists being played out here. That green flag pit stop strategy, some of these guys are going to try to play it to their advantage.
Oh, you're absolutely right there. And oh no trouble on the car. Green flag all over the place, guys. And sorry, I tried to do my best, Tony Stevens. It just didn't work out for me. Kenny Humpy in control of the field once again. Ray Alfala immediately on his back bumper, and now it's a battle for position number 4 as Andy Fash III doing battle with the 29 and Kevin King. Kevin King just too strong on the outside, and now you have 3 wide now. The 55 cut the grass in order to stay competitive with what looks like the 5 and the 0-1.
Timu Ivonen in there as well in the middle of this pack. Scribner is there. Brian Schoenberg in the middle of this pack. Some of these guys getting their track position by staying out a little bit longer on the green flag run, and some of them are holding their own. Some of them are falling through the field. Tony, Timu Ivonen was in the top 10. He's been shuffled back to position 13.
He has an up front Ray Alfala for the first time tonight, giving Kenny Humpy a challenge. Alfala to the bottom of the racetrack, 122.5 laps in the books. He wants to put his Ford at the front of the field. He'll try to do it through the 24-degree banks of turns 3 and 4. Up the racetrack, nearly gets into Humpy. Humpy nearly bounces it off the safety barrier. He'll hang on to the top spot. Cody Bias is there as well. Here comes Kevin King. It's now a 4-way battle for the top spot. Some of the best racing we have seen in the middle stages of this one so far tonight.
Still side by side, and you're seeing just why these drivers love Charlotte Motor Speedway. They are continuing to stick it side by side for the second consecutive lap. The 2, the 58, side by side, continuing to do business. Advantage Alfala this time around, and we will have a new leader as Kenny Humpy gives up not 1 but 2 spots on the pass.
And that's his teammate that just passed him too, Cody Bias in the number 27. You look back from Ray Alfala's vision of flight forward to the 27 of Cody Bias, the 58 of Kenny Humpy, and the 29 of Kevin King. Top 4 breaking away a little bit here over the rest of the field. And I think Humpy let everybody have a little bit of a reprieve there, or at least Ray Alfala. We saw in the first 2 green flag runs, Tony, that 58's like a fine wine. It gets better with age.
It takes Kenny Humpy a few laps to get going. We've seen that on the last 2 runs. Reason being, probably has that car set up for the long run. And everybody else is a little faster early, but as the race wears on, as the pace slows down, the 58 does not slow down as much. And yes, he might give up a half a second or a second in the first. Oh, trouble! Turn number 4! To 1 car hard on the outside wall. That'll bring out the 3rd caution of the night. Had the potential to be huge, but Sturgis in the 41, heavy impact, came back down to traffic, and that had the potential to be very, very large as well. But Sturgis out of this one, it looks like, after a heavy impact with Alan Bowes, last week's winner, T-boning him on the way back down the racetrack.
Well, the 41 did exactly the same thing that brought out the first caution flag earlier tonight. He just got too aggressive, it looks like, coming off of turn number 4, or coming into turn number 4 and through turn number 4, and as a result got booted into the outside wall, and then ultimately got booted by Alan Bowes, and now the 41 is done, and Alan Bowes' night should be done as well.
Oh, Trey Eidson, too, in the number 6, just barely clips that number 41, but I think it's going to be enough to give him a little bit of damage. He's going to come down and get that one fixed. Cody Bias is staying on the racetrack, but we've got about half a dozen or so just outside this top 10 or so coming down into pit road. Benjamin Burmeister being one of them. He was up there in the top 10, and Tony, he was one of those drivers that got a little bit of track position after that green flag cycle of pit stops.
Yeah, and Tim, this is where you take that gamble, and this is where you hope that gamble pays off. You're able to take full advantage of 2 tires, no tires, whatever your pit strategy happens to be, and by having these cautions and letting everything cycle around, it puts you in a good position. So those who were able to stay out on previous runs and take 2 tires in the last yellow, this is working out very, very well for them.
Yeah, but then you have to look at the guys who are up front right now who are going to be leading this race when it goes back to green flag racing. Cody Bias, Kenny Humpy, Kevin King, Chad Walker, Justin Bolton. these guys are going to be once again back in control and back on their original strategy. Are they going to have the tires that the guys who come down pit road have? Probably not, but their setups and their strategy is so good at playing the conservation game that they are going to be less worried about what everyone else does and more worried about running their own race. And if everything continues to cycle out the way it has, if they continue to run the way they are and have that pit stop at or around lap 150 or so, it's still going to be a tough operation to beat the team.
Top 5 in this race are the team, as you mentioned, Joe. Cody Bias trying to get his first career NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing victory. Kenny Humpy, he's never won at Charlotte before. He sits in second. Kevin King, same boat, sits in third. Chad Lawton in fourth. And Justin Bolton, another one of those drivers from the team trying to pick up his first career victory in this series, runs in fifth. Corey Vincent, really good on the short run. We saw that earlier, and we saw that on that run there. Runs in sixth, picked up a couple of positions on that one. Tyler Hudson in seventh. Nathan Wise in eighth. Brian Schoenberg, great run in ninth. And Alex Scribner completes your top 10. Tony, I know you've got the clipboard out. You're looking over strategies. Ray Alfala is 16th right now. He definitely cannot make it to the end on this tank, but what are you thinking?
I'm thinking, Tim, that Ray realizes he's very close in speed to the top few drivers. And if he can get around some of these slower guys quickly, he's going to have an advantage. And if this race goes green to the end, here's probably what's going to happen. Alfala can take 2 tires late in the race. He can go about 55 laps or so. We already know that he can stretch it longer than most of the other drivers in the field. So let's say he does that. We've got 70 laps to go when we go green. Alfala can come down with 15 or 20 laps to go, take 2 tires. Everybody else is going to be a little more committed to their strategy. I think he's simply trying to give himself more options at this point, and maybe even if a late caution comes out, take 2 tires. Whatever it is, there's something up his sleeve. A couple of possibilities, but all I can think back to, guys, is Homestead of 2013, when he knew he didn't have anything for Tyler Hudson. He almost pulled that one off, but I think he learned from that one what does and doesn't work, and I think maybe now he's a little more gutsy to take that chance.
I think he is too, but I still think at the end of the day, these guys still going to need one more pit stop no matter where you're at in the field. You need one more to make it work, and strategy so far hasn't lied, though it can be manipulated. Green flag back in the air this time by Cody Bias. Kenny Humpy hit the loud pedal hard one more time, and we're back down to racing as Cody Bias tries to take the lead once again. And look at that. Kenny Humpy will give it to him as the team retain for the top 5 spots.
But here comes Kevin King in the number 29, going to make a move for position number 3 and take a peek under his teammate Kenny Humpy for position number 2. Top 5 get single file from the team, as does the 10 of Corey Vincent. We got one driver possibly smoking in the back here. We'll have to check on that one. The 50, I believe it might be, of Alex Scribner. He's got out of the way there. He's lost a couple of positions. Chris Overland made the move past the 50 there.
Yeah, tough break for the 50 of Alex Scribner. Had a decent starting spot tonight. Unfortunately, did not work out for him. And again, still a long race. You can maybe get some luck here, but as you get later and later, it's just not as likely to happen as you ride on board with the 50 of Alex Scribner. In fact, Ray Alfala going to be the next car to take advantage of that number 50 machine, it looks like. And up front, the leaders, all single file. In fact, the top 8 cars have broken away from the rest of the field. And this is starting to look like a Talladega race, guys, as Scribner catches a piece of the outside safer barrier. We're breaking into packs. Cody Bias leads the first pack. The next pack is Brian Schoenberg, and then we've got a double, in some cases, triple file further back there. But still keeping an eye on Ray Alfala. This pack deal might work out really, really well for him.
You talk about the pack racing, and I don't disagree with you. The only difference is when you're doing pack racing at Talladega, you can use the draft of the other cars around you to start forming a train and start moving more and more forward on the track. The difference is here is it's either you got a car or you don't, And if you don't have a car, no pack in the world is going to be able to give you a hand. Let's go back now and look around the three of Brandon Schmidt, and you see just the kind of pack that they are forming up right there, 2 by 2. They continue to run in front of him. Underneath Brandon Schmidt is a 39 of Michael J. Johnson. In front of him is a 54 and 77 of Bowie and Bash third, respectively. They'll go back to single file racing, but you know that the racing isn't done among that group. You gotta know that for a fact.
You might want to inform Miranda and Carey, because I have a feeling something bad's about to happen back here around this 20th place position. Blackford took that position, went 3 wide, as you mentioned, Joe, and they've got it back to single file for the time being. Blackford is going to go underneath Casey Tucker and try to pick up a spot here. Check that. That's Timu Ivonen in the number 99 as he tries to make that move. Casey Tucker made the move on Ivonen the last lap, and now the 33 will try to set his sights on Tucker as they come up at a corner number 4. Trey Eidson coming down onto pit road. You just saw him coming down on the apron. The 99 car looked like the strategy was going to work earlier, Tony, but it's falling back now. The 99 is outside the top 20.
Part of having strategy that tries to work for you, Tim, is getting the rest of the cards to fall right. In the case of Timo Ivonen, his strategy did not need the most recent caution flag. That bunched everybody back up. And it also requires having a car that's capable of running fairly well with that strategy. Just as we saw in the NASCAR Sprint All-Star race, 2 tires worked great for Brad Keselowski after one segment. Didn't do so good for Jamie McMurray. So you've got to have a car that's capable of running that strategy that you pick, and apparently for Timo Ivonen, that's not the case here tonight. That car is starting to resemble more of a fish anchor than it does anything else as it continues to fall back. And look further behind him. There's Nick Ottinger, Mr. Bad Luck himself. Seems he attracts trouble wherever he goes so far tonight. Might want to keep an eye on him because, again, call Terry and Miranda, something bad's probably going to happen.
Don't pick up the phone just yet there, guys, because I don't think it's going to be a problem issue the 05 of Nick Ottinger. I think it's just a matter of the fact that he is in the hornet's nest right now. He has got a lot of hungry drivers around him, and it's going to be one of those things. If it comes down to the Ottinger or them, they're going to pick themselves over Ottinger. So keep an eye on Ottinger, sure, and keep an eye on his continued forward progress as he finds a way around the 3 of Brandon Schmidt on the outside. But keep an eye on what and the way he does it and what he does, because Nick Ottinger right now, his biggest goal is to stay out of that hornet's nest.
Your top 5 are still the same, with the team leading the field: Cody Bias, Kenny Humpy, King, Lawton, Bolton. But those 3 behind them starting to stick with the team, and it looks like Corey Vincent has a run on that 36 of Justin Bolton. Tyler Hudson and Nathan Wise are there as well, and we shouldn't be surprised, Tony, that Tyler Hudson is running up front. It's the Peak Antifreeze Ford. He's a former champion of this series. But keep in mind, that one-up team hasn't really ran so good all season long. Looks like they may have turned a page here at Charlotte.
They might have, Tim, and this is kind of a homecoming for Tyler Hudson. He's always had the dream to be an actual race car driver, and yes, he had some laps at Hickory Motor Speedway. In fact, spent a season there. He's run a crate dirt late model in Jackson, Mississippi, and around his home. But this place is special to Tyler Hudson. This is where he feels he got the best break of his career in the Peak Stock Car Dream Challenge 2 just 1 year ago. He was in the final 3 with another iRacer, Paul Kashiba, as well, or not Paul Kashiba, but it'll come to me in a second. But from up in New England, as well as the current, or actually, yeah, it was Paul Kashiba. Never mind, I apologize. But yeah, it was Paul Kashiba, Tyler Hudson, and Christian Payhood that came to Charlotte. They were the final 3, and they got some laps on the big track. They were able to run around the quarter mile. They did a lot of fun things here, but I think this is a little bit of a homecoming for Tyler, and this place very special to him. We talked about at the outset that, in fact, this place, more than any arguably in the series, breeds motivation. It gives you an extra reason to just dig a little bit deeper, and I think for Tyler, being part of that Peak Stock Car Dream Challenge last year certainly gave this place some meaning deep down inside. His trouble. Michael J. Johnson involved in one over in the back straightaway. That will bring out the 4th caution of the night. Timo Ivonen is there as well. Taylor Hurst caught a piece of it too. That was that group we were watching just a few laps ago, but Johnson bounced it off the wall, and unfortunately Taylor Hurst was there, and a few others got swept up in the melee as well, Joe.
Hornet's Nest has once again been kicked and struck, and now you got a lot of angry drivers with broken machines out there. It all starts with a 39 and 74. Johnson gets the little shove from Taylor Hurst coming off of the turn, and that's going to send the 39 straight into the wall. The 74 nowhere to go, T-bones him, and that also opens the 99 as well. The 99 Timo Vonen gets into the back of the 74, and now 3 drivers with broken machines not able to continue, are going to be limping to continue this race. The Hornet's Nest was kicked, guys, and now caution is out on the field once again, and not a moment too soon as everyone comes down pit road.
Here comes the 27 of Cody Bias and the rest of the field. Question is, do you make it from here? Do you pack it full of fuel and get to the end of the race? And who comes off pit road first to get that track position? If you're Ray Alfala, if you're following Tony Stevens' strategy, do you take 2 tires? Humpy at the front of the field going to take at least rights. Is he going to take 2 or go 4? Kenny Humpy in the peak, number 58, is going to take 4 and 2 for Ray Alfala.
Alfala, the 2 tires, he set himself up perfectly as we've got Taylor Hurst sideways in the pit lane. Bias out second. Then comes Lawton King and Kenny Humpy out 5th. Oh, this one throws a wrench into it. And, guys, there are 55 laps to go when they came down pit road. That's the very outer limit of some of these drivers' fuel windows. I dare say Ray Alfala is good to go with these caution laps. It'll be close, but I think he can do it. Watch anybody else that comes back down pit road on the 1-to-go signal. They might have the ace up their sleeve. He who pits last has the best chance to win on this one, unless, of course, we get another yellow flag.
Well, this is where it all gets very interesting now, doesn't it? And to answer your question, Tony, yes, I'm confident these guys can run 55 laps, especially if you throw in another couple caution flags. It means they can conserve just a little bit more. They can get on the clutch, they can save the tires, and yes, they can make that car work for them, especially at the end of this race. So is it plausible? Is it feasible that we've seen the very last pit stop of the race? Absolutely it is. The question, though, is how are caution flags going to change that? And number 2, how is the 2 tires of Ray Alfala going to change the charge of Cody Bias, Chad Lawton, Kevin King, and Kenny Humpy, as Ray Alfala with 2 less tires is going to have to fend off, the entire team? That is going to be the race I'm going to be watching the rest of the night.
Ray was pretty decent on the 2 tires that he had, though, on that last pit stop where everybody came down pit road. He was underneath Kenny Humpy, was at the lead position. I don't know if it's going to be a strategy to win the race, Tony, if this thing goes green for a fair distance, because we've seen Kenny Humpy be strong. We've seen Cody Bias have a strong race car after 20 or 30 compared to Ray Alfala. Alfala good on the short run. If we do get a rash of cautions, this might very well work out for Ray Alfala. If it goes green, it's hard to bet against the team. It's hard to bet against Kenny Humpy, Cody Bias, and the rest of those guys. We're going to step away for just a few moments' time. We'll pick up some... And no, we're not. We're going to go 1 to go here. So we're going to stay with the action, and we're going to go green next time by.
And, Tim, I tend to be with you. I think Ray might be able to pull this off. Last year we saw this race have 11 cautions. We've already had 4, and some of the racing we've seen, it's been very aggressive, very risky, and as you get closer and closer to the end of the race, drivers tend to take more and give less, usually resulting in a little bit more yellow fever. If that's the case, Ray Alfala might be in the catbird seat in a prime position to take away a victory and steal one from every single member of the team breathing down his back. In fact, if you look at the top 7 spots, 5 of those are members of the team. 1 is on One Up Motorsports, Tyler Hudson, and then you got Ray Alfala from Slip Angle Motorsports. Gambling just a little bit, Joe, but I've got a feeling if somebody can make it happen, it's the 2-time series champion.
Well, yes, absolutely. And if anyone is going to have a chance to win this race through strategy alone, it's going to be Ray Alfala just because of his intrinsic knowledge of how this works. Green flag flies once again. Alfala bunches them up.
Oh, here we go.
Before he restarts, and it looks like the 27 may have jumped it.
Big pileup.
Caution flag is out, and Tony, there's a lot of junked race cars behind this top 5 or 6.
Corey Vincent is where it all started. Ray Alfalla brought him down so slow. And actually, I take that back. It wasn't Corey Vincent. It was Alex Scribner in the accordion effect getting into Nathan Wise. Wise jumped or bumped into the left rear Corey Vincent, who then in turn hooked Justin Bolton, and it was on from there. At least 8 cars by my count catching some piece of damage, if not 10 cars. The big one, luckily at very slow speed coming down for the restart, but nonetheless, those involved not too happy, I'm sure, with the restart that Ray Alfalla just put on the field.
Well, the 27 tried to go. You saw that as it restarted, but the 2 just wouldn't let him. The 2 wouldn't give him the pleasure of going. Instead, you saw a lot of cars who were anticipating that restart bunch up very, very, very quickly, and as a result, that's what caused this incident. Ray Alfalla playing the strategy card once again, and he plays it incredibly well.
And Joe, here's the thing. I do not blame Ray Alfalla at all. If you go back and look at the telemetry, he stayed very constant. The biggest thing is most drivers tend to go as soon as the pace car leaves. It's well within their rights, but Ray Alfalla didn't. Everybody else behind him expected him to go. Cody Bias, by rule, cannot be in front of the leader when the green flag comes out, so he was forced to jump on the binders, and that's ultimately what created the entire deal. Ray didn't do anything wrong. He simply played the restart game, and everybody else guessed wrong, Tim.
And we will have a couple of less cars because of that restart. Regardless what happened up front, wherever your opinion sits, it's Ray Alfalla, Cody Bias up front. There's a couple of guys out back that aren't going to be here when we throw the green flag. We will take this opportunity now to step away and get some words in from our series sponsor and others. We'll be back in a few moments.
Sorry, guys. I never would have thought making duck calls would have stirred up this much excitement.
No kidding. Got him coming up here.
Shortcut time!
That's what I'm talking about. You sure this is a good idea?
Oh, yeah. I got this. I can't guarantee you how this will end, but Pete can guarantee your radiator for life. Introducing the Peak Run True Guarantee. Check it out at peakguarantee.com.
Welcome back to the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Still trying to digest what happened on that restart. Ray Alfalla, Cody Bias, Chad Lawton, Kevin King, and now Tyler Hudson are your top 5. But, Tony, it leaves guys on pit road that were up front. We're battling for the lead in this race. Guys like Justin Bolton are probably not going to win this race. Bolton sitting on pit road, 1 lap down.
There's no probably, Tim. Unless the entire field falls out, Justin Bolton is not going to win this race. Heavy damage on the Greensburg, Pennsylvania driver's car, as is the case on a number of other drivers, too, who caught a piece of that accident. And really hard to say what happened there. I think looking at the replay, though, it was simply a matter of, as I said earlier, everybody expected Ray to go at a certain point. He did not, and their overzealousness and their anticipation essentially got him into trouble. All you can do is ask that you hold your speed as the leader. Ray apparently did that, didn't brake check anybody, and caught everybody off guard. That's one thing that Ron Hornaday was so good at when he was around Joe, was playing games on restarts. He didn't do anything to draw the ire of NASCAR at the time or any sort of series officials, but he changed it up enough to keep everybody guessing, and that's why he was always known as the king of restarts. And I think Ray Alfalla is starting to use some of that veteran knowledge to do just the same thing.
You know, someone just put out on Twitter, Ray Alfala, Virgilio on Twitter using hashtag NPass, put out on Twitter, Ray Alfala kind of screwed up those guys behind him. No, I don't think he did, as he restarts once again at that slow speed. This time everybody anticipating it too wide throughout the rest of the field as we go back to green flag racing. Ray Alfala didn't screw the rest of the field. He was well within his right to do the slow restart. This time, though, everyone got wise, didn't try to jump the restart, and as a result, we ended up having a clean restart, and now another former champion trying to get his name in the mix.
0-1 of Tyler Hudson to the inside of the 29 of Kevin King, and here comes Brian Blackford out of nowhere. Blackford underneath Kenny Humpy in the 58, and he's trying to follow in the tire tracks of the peak forward of Tyler Hudson. 29 of Kevin King trying to pinch that 0-1 down, try to get that run off the corner and try to pass that 0-1 on the outside line. Not going to happen as they continue to be side by side for position number 4. Now King gets that run into the corner, drives it in deep. King will pick up the spot. Humpy going to try to do the same.
Humpy on the outside of Tyler Hudson. We have yet to see the outside lane be nearly as useful as it has been in the last couple of circuits. Humpy unable to get by Hudson yet, but again, gets that run through the center of the corner, just can't make it happen. But ahead of him, up front, Ray Alfala, now under fire, Cody Bias and Chad Lawton looking to the inside of the Vision of Flight 4. Bias will get to the inside. He'll have the advantage off the exit of turn number 4. And trouble! Big crash, turn number 4. 2 more cars involved. Alex Scribner is one of them. And I do believe that Brian Schoenberg also caught a piece of that one as well. Again, troublesome turn number 4. And it all started when Alex Scribner looks like, well, really hard to see what exactly happened. But either way, it did involve Brian Schoenberg and Alex Scribner, and Tyler Hill might have also caught a small piece of that one over in turn number 4, Joe.
Brian Schoenberg doing the reverse Polish victory lap as he drives backwards down the front stretch. It all really started after the 55 got a little bit of a tap from looks like the 9 of Tyler Hill. The 55 then goes straight into that car right behind him. That is going to be the 50, I believe. Yes, of Alex Scribner, and that is going to cause heavy damage on both of those cars. So for Brian Schoenberg, who at one point led a lap here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, the bad season gets worse here tonight for the Pro Geek Consulting, machine down there. And Schoenberg, I'm sure as a result, is probably not going to be happy with his result tonight. More cars down on pit road taking advantage of the opportunity to come down and get new tires.
They can make it from here on this stop, as some of these guys out in the back of the field are going to take the opportunity to come down pit road. The leaders are going to stay out on the racetrack. But Tony, looking back at that incident with Brian Schoenberg, back on the back straightaway before they enter turn 3, Patrick Crabtree makes that move, gets to the inside. Schoenberg has to go up the racetrack, and then as we saw, it looks like he almost just cleared himself on the number 9 and spun that thing around, and I'm sure the series officials are not too happy with Brian Schoenberg driving that car backwards around the racetrack. Trying to put on a show for the fans. That's what he tries to do. I know Schoenberg is here, and he's got a lot of fans in this series, but I'm sure Shannon Whitmore and those officials probably are not one of the groupies right now in the 55 camp. I'm sure they'll be hearing from the series officials following this event.
You might be right, Tim. That very well could be the case. And you know, I think what happened with Schoenberg, whenever he got cleared, whether the spotter cleared him or he cleared himself, he was clear of Tyler Hill. But Tyler Hill had such a head of steam at the bottom of the racetrack that by the time Schoenberg reacted, cut to the bottom, and ultimately made contact, that's when Tyler Hill filled the gap. And I don't think there was anything Tyler Hill really could have done because it happened so fast. Just more of a racing incident than anything, but nonetheless, the result doesn't change. Alex Scribner and Brian Schoenberg hard into the outside safer barrier in turn number 4. And looking up front, guys, I think all the leaders from here can make it. We've had enough caution laps. They don't burn nearly enough fuel. I think they're clear to go from here. But I'm starting to wonder, how smart is Ray Alfala? How smart are the strategists on Team Slip Angle? Last year, this race had 11 cautions, and I don't remember how it all went. I don't have the trends in front of me, but they go back and study these things. And I'm wondering if the trend last year was the same as it's been so far this year, guys. The first 2/3 and 3/4 of the race, flawless. The last quarter, yellow fever, and that was what Ray Alfalla might have been gambling on with that 2-tire stop, to where maybe he can put himself in a position to win by utilizing the caution trends at the end of the race.
Which is absolutely a smart gamble, which is a gamble he needs to make in order to be in the position he's in right now. This is why he's a 2-time champion. This is why he wins races. He won the opening race this year and wins races throughout the year. Entertainingly enough, he was also down there a couple of weeks ago for the truck race and a couple other races down there as well. So Ray Alfalla getting a little bit of experience, a visual experience, if you will, of the race out there tonight. Maybe that gave him a little bit of advantage. It's hard to say. All I know is Ray Alfalla, still with 2 tires, has a great opportunity to win this race, take this race away from the team, and if he did, it would be a huge coup for the 2-time champion.
And it would be a points gain, albeit right now, if the race were to end now, it would be a small point gain of about 5 points or so. But a gain in the points, especially on Kenny Humpy, is a step in the positive direction. But now we'll see if Cody Bias can play any restart games. We saw Ray Alfalla do it on the last restart, or last 2 restarts, bringing this field down slow. We'll see what Cody Bias has up his sleeve here. Pace car is in, 27 waiting and going here. Green flag flies. We are back underway, and he's going to tow along his teammate, Chad Lawton. Here comes Kevin King to the inside of the 2.
Restart, not what Ray Alfalla wanted to see, at least not the way that one turned out. Bias to the point, Lawton to second, and Kevin King, run of the year for not only him, but the 0-1 of Tyler Hudson there as well. And look at him, nose to tail, just inches apart to the banking of turn number 3. It is go time. You can feel the intensity pick up. The electricity is in the air. The Queen City is about to bestow her crown on someone. The question is who? There's a number of drivers that think they've got a shot to win that contest.
And Alfalla's name should be among them as he now fights on the outside, trying to get around the 29 of Kevin King. Does so successfully from the outside. Not quite yet, but he's getting the push from the 0-1 of Tyler Hudson to help him out there. So Cody Bias in the lead. Chad Lawton second. Kevin King fighting with the 2 of Ray Alfalla. And behind them, Kenny Humpy, Tyler Hudson doing some business as well.
And how about Brian Blackford making his way through as well? The 33 is in contention near the end of this race. He and his teammate Ray Alfalla from slip angle as they cross over in front of this field. The 2 and the 29 had a little crossover move there, nothing doing going into corner number 3. And here comes Humpy. Humpy to the inside of the 2 of Ray Alfalla, going to bring Hudson along with them and try to dispatch Ray Alfalla back there to his teammate Brian Blackford, who's hanging on to this pack. Great run so far this evening by Blackford. Mentioned a season run so far for Hudson. How about the 33 as well?
Great runs for everybody here at Charlotte in the top 7. As you mentioned, a number of them but series and year best runs for these drivers. And Kenny Humpy 2 laps ago nearly bought the farm. Cut right across the nose of Tyler Hudson and somehow found a hole there that got him to the bottom underneath of Ray Alfalla, and now ultimately to the 4th spot as you ride on board. Ray Alfalla's number 2. 2 tires might have gotten him track position, but I think Ray needs a little bit of a longer run here to bolt 4 stickers on that bad boy and have ultimate grip that he so needs. Problem is, and the question is, how much time and ground will he lose until that opportunity presents itself, if it presents itself? Ray Alfalla took a great gamble, but he's kind of made his bed now, and he's having to lie in it. He's just hoping he can find another hotel room that's open, because they've just about sold this one out.
That's what I was a little bit worried about when he came down and made the 2 tires stop. Great strategy to get him back up front. Great strategy to have the slow restart on the track. The problem, though, for the 2 is now without that grip, without that additional outside grip, allowing him to run as fast on the outside or on the turn, he is not going to be competitive. He's not going to be able to make those passes he critically needs to make or hold off the team behind him. Remember, the team back in control of the top 4 positions right now. If a yellow flag comes out, the team probably won't go down, which means Ray Alfalla will be all by himself down on pit road, save for a handful of other drivers who have nothing to lose. So even if Ray Alfalla does come down pit road, the question is, can he make up that time in order to compete for the win? I got a feeling the balcony is going to be closed for him very quickly.
As we get closer to the end of this race, I think Tony and Joe, you two hit the nail on the head. I don't think Ray can put any more strategy on, because I don't think these guys are going to come down pit road, and I don't think you can sacrifice track position late in this race. Yes, we have seen some cautions here, but everybody looks like they've got single file, except for some of the cars out back that are still trying to battle for their own real estate. But I think these guys have a green flag run to the finish, not maybe to the finish of this thing, but close enough to the finish, Tony, where you don't sacrifice track position to come down onto pit road. 26 continues to look at his teammate Cody Bias. There's another thing we're going to have to follow. Those are teammates. I'm sure that all goes out the window in those last few laps. How wide does Cody Bias make that race car to try to win his first NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series race?
I think you make it as wide as you physically can. That Chevrolet SS already has a wide track stance, but you can make it that much wider by the line you run around the Charlotte Motor Speedway. And don't forget, Chad Lawton is hungry as well. Yes, he won one race earlier this season, but he would love nothing more than to win number 2. And Kevin King, how long has it been since he was in victory lane in a NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series race? If memory serves me, it was Texas 1 year ago, and that was sheer luck at a late race crash. Kevin King has not run this good in quite some time. Those three are not going to let Kenny Humpy waltz around them. They're going to give him every bit of fight they've got in their souls. And that 58 car, even though they're teammates, they'll race him respectfully, they'll race him cleanly, but they are not going to make it easy for the guy leading the points.
Guys, and again, once again, team politics come into play there. If Kenny Humpy was in charge, because Kenny Humpy needed those points to pick up first, pick up position on anybody else, then I'm sure they would figure something out among them where he would get that position. But he doesn't. He's running fourth. He's having a great run tonight. He's led a ton of laps out here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. They don't need to fight amongst themselves. This is the joys of having a great team behind you. They're not going to fight Tim. They're not going to fight Tony. If anything else, they will give Cody Bias this win, give him the hometown win here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and let everything else behind them work itself out. They have the top 4 spots. What more do they need?
22 of Rob Ackley going to pick up a position here on Alex Warren. Going to step back here for just a few moments' time as the team up front continues to go at it. Alex Warren is the top-running Aftermath Motorsports driver, and Rob Ackley had a stellar qualifying run this evening, Tony. We documented that off the grid. They're in top 10 positions right now. Great runs for those two. And look who's also back up in the top 10, just in front of them. Nick Ottinger rebounding after being back in the pack after a long pit stop under the green flag. He's back up to 8th, and he's reeled in Brian Blackford for 7th.
Maybe the monkey is finally off the back of not just Brian Blackford, but the 05 of Nick Ottinger as well. Both, again, having solid runs. And Ottinger, after all the bad luck tonight, maybe, just maybe, finally is catching a break. These cautions have helped him. These short runs have helped him get his way back up inside the top 10. And with a very fast race car, he might have a shot at a top 5 finish if everything falls his way. But, Ottinger wants to be contending for wins, not top 5s, as he goes underneath of Brian Blackford. Again, that's for position number 7 with 175 laps complete. There are 25 laps to go, and it is down to business time, no doubt. And look up front, guys. The top 4, the team, they're all, really the top 3 for that matter, starting to pull away. We've seen nobody do that to Kenny Humpy this late in the run. Maybe, just maybe, either Humpy is giving them some room, or maybe they're burning that stuff off a little too early, and Humpy can go blasting right back around his teammates here in the waning laps.
If you're following along on Twitter using the hashtag NPass, you will have seen the picture from Teemu Vonen in that 99 machine. Great photo showing how much damage is on that car. He is done for the night. And that shows you just how frustrating this place can be if you are not one of the coordinated few, one of the chosen few. Be sure to follow us all season long on Twitter. On nights we run the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, use the hashtag NPass. On off nights, use the hashtag iRacing Night. And of course, be sure to follow us on Twitter for even more fun throughout the week.
This race starting to get a green flag feel to it at the end of this one. The 26 of Chad Lawton has the 27 of Cody Bias just in front of him as they will pass. I believe that's Matt Busa in the 34 car, damaged from one of those earlier wrecks, and he will fall back, just trying to stay on the racetrack, Tony, and pick up every position that he can right now as we continue to run under the green flag. 179 being worked on the board this time by 21 laps to go, and 21 laps between Cody Bias and potentially his first NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing victory.
What a win it would be for Cody Bias after all the drama, all the talk, all the rumors surrounding him and what was Cody Bias Racing. Now the team and everyone who caught a piece of all that aftermath, no pun intended, what a comeback it would be. And again, no better place than Charlotte. And caution is out. This changes everything. Yellow on the speedway with only 20 laps to go. My, oh my, this one might not be anywhere close to over yet.
Looks like the 66 of Benjamin Burmeister, that German driver, involved in that one, as well as a couple other drivers. We look back at what happened in turns number 1 and 2. It looks like Burmeister tried to get around the 51 of Tyler Laughlin, but instead of getting around him, ended up getting into him, and that's going to set the 66 on a very dangerous course throughout the turn, and ends up bunching up those cars. Burmeister, Byron Daly, Brandon Schmidt all get into it. The 66 gets a little airborne as a result of a push from the 3, and all 3 of those cars severely damaged. The 66 of Burmeister smoking now.
Leaders down on pit road, Cody Bias, Chad Lawton, and everybody down. Tony, does this surprise you?
It kind of does, Tim. It really does to see these guys come down pit road. But here's the thing. They know they've got to do something, and everybody else behind them is going to do something opposite. Could this be a 2-tire stop? Could it be a 4-tire stop? We'll find out. Lawton is down and away. King is down and away, and this is going to jumble them up. Humpy might have just... No! Bias will win the race off pit road. Humpy second by inches. Then it is Lawton, King, and Ray Alfalla now with a new breath of life. 4 tires on his Ford. Nick Ottinger out in 6th. Oh, this might be a good sprint to the finish. But here's the other thing you got to look at, guys. Alex Warren stayed out. Tyler Hill stayed out. A few drivers stayed on the racetrack, and that might put a wrench into the plans that Lawton, Humpy, and everybody else had to try to win this race here tonight.
Very interesting watching everybody's different pit strategies. A lot of 2-tire stops out there on the track, including 2-tire stops for all of the team members out there as well. A handful of drivers elected to stay out on the track, and those drivers are going to be Alex Warren, Tyler Hill, Ryan Lowe, Ryan Blackford, all elected to stay out from the attention of their crews. So, guys, this does change everything. And now that you've got guys that have those extra tires, that extra grip that they so desperately needed earlier in the race, this is gonna not get. This could end well, or it could end horribly. But there's only really one way to find out.
And all those guys that stayed out, or I shouldn't say all those guys, most of those guys that stayed out front, i.e. Alex Warren, Tyler Hill, and T-Loff, they're a part of the Aftermath Motorsports team. Ryan Lowe trying to throw a Hail Mary here as well. When you look at T-Loff, he was involved in that latest caution, Tony. Nothing of his doing, really. It looked like the 66 was trying to, as Joe mentioned, not go around but go through the 51. He sits there in 4th, and you talked about the Pro Series earlier where Tyler Hill won a race here at Charlotte last season. T-Loff won a race at Richmond based on fuel mileage. He did a little bit of a different strategy compared to everybody else, and he ended up front. Alex Warren is going to get some positions here. He's going to restart in the first place position in the Core Pipe 82, but he was running 9th at the time of that caution. We're going to quickly see if we get a rash of cautions and he finishes higher than that 9th place position. But I'm not sure on the call of the 82. I like the call on the 9, the 38, 51, trying to gain some spots here. But I don't know if the 82, we'll see. I'm not completely sold in the 82.
There will be 16 laps to go when we go green, Tim. 1 or 2 cautions, I think, can be of benefit for Alex Warren and certainly for those other 3. And here's the thing. you got to take the gamble. You know you're not going to win where you were at. So try something different. Craziness can happen. We've seen it already. And to add a little bit of extra drama to this, guys, remember, it was Cody Bias Racing that had the huge dramatic split up earlier this season that resulted in the team and Aftermath Motorsports. Could we see a little bit of contention between these drivers and maybe something happening up front that,
Yes.
I won't say it's intentional, but maybe something to make this a little more entertaining, Joe?
Yes. I'm going to answer that for you in one word and then give it back to Tim Terry. He said, no, he has something to say about it. Yes.
Yes. We'll quickly see how this works out. Alex Warren in the 82, former winner in this series, going to lead this field to green. The Core Pipe Chevrolet bringing them down slow, and there they go. Green flag flies, the 82 and 9 side by side, and here comes the 27 already on the hop. Cody Bias going to try to make his way around, and Humpy has the outside on Ryan Lowe. Oh, this is going to get interesting up front.
Humpy able to get the advantage, and he didn't have to check up. And look at Lowe. He'll throw the block on Bias. That's going to allow Kenny Humpy to get alongside of him as they work into turn number 3. They're 3 wide into the third turn. Contact briefly. Teal-off on the outside. Lowe stuck in the middle. Bias is going to end up victorious in that battle while Humpy pushes his teammate to third. And all the while, the top two are starting to move away from this entire, well, it's not even a battle anymore, guys. This is an all-out war zone from third on back.
I'm watching the two of Alfala interact with this 05 of Ottinger as those two drivers try to figure out what they do. Almost made contact coming off of turns 3 and 4. Now the 2 and 29 side by side. The 05 coming out of a 3-wide battle with a 22 and 51. Guys, this is a hornet's nest as more 3-wide racing happens behind them. Something's going to give here very, very quickly.
That looks very nasty about mid-pack right now. The top 3-4 breaking away from the rest of this pack. And there's
Trouble!
38 around. Ryan Lowe, Kevin King involved, and about half the field. Ray Alfala, I believe, gets a piece of this as well. Yellow flag flies.
Alfala, a huge chunk of damage. King damage. Rattler sideways as well. Ryan Lowe, the catalyst that spun it all off in turn number 2. That's going to bring out the caution once again. All the while, Alex Warren still the leader. That means we'll be back green with less than 10 laps to go. And, guys, I don't think it's over yet. We still have slower cars in the midst of faster cars up front. This is going to get that much more interesting before it's over with.
So, very interesting watching that all come together. Two favorites to win this race, Kevin King and Ray Alfala, are done in this race. D-O-N-E, done. And now this race will be decided among a handful of drivers up front, including Alex Warren, who you mentioned, Tony, was a previous winner in this series. Tyler Hill, Cody Bias looking for win number 1. Kenny Humpy looking to extend his lead. But in that top 6, the name I am most intrigued by is 05 of Nick Ottinger. Ottinger is hungry. Ottinger needs a win to resurrect his season. Because after this point, he may not be able to. 6 drivers, 8 if you include Tyler Hudson, all the way back. And guys, this is anybody's race at this point.
Nick Ottinger went down low, got through everybody, or got through all that mess. Ray Alfala nearly got through it, but if it wasn't for Kevin King getting tagged by Ryan Lowe after that all started off, Ray Alfala nowhere to go. Kevin King directly back into traffic, and Kevin really didn't have control of that race car when Ryan Lowe hit him. And we haven't mentioned David Rattler all night long. Usually that means that he's had a good night. David Rattler gets caught up in that. That was none of his doing, but Rattler's going to have damage to the rear end suspension of that 09 car. So that's a tough break for David Rattler. But you look at that top 10 right now, Nick Ottinger got through there. That's going to be a contender for a top 5 finish here. How about Rob Ackley in the 22 car? He's right up front there too.
And PJ Sturgis got through it too. We haven't talked a great deal about him tonight. He's inside the top 10 as well. And even Tyler Laughlin, that strategy playing well for him. Remember, he stayed out after being involved in the previous yellow, being scored in the 10th spot right now. So some of the slower cars up front no longer there, exception being Warren and Hill. And guys, the leaders behind them didn't close greatly on them under that green flag run. Mind you, they had some slower cars impeding their progress, but I think Alex Warren and Tyler Hill might have just enough fight left in their dogs to get one last bit of meat off the bone before this one's over with. I don't know if they'll be able to finish the feast before the sun goes down, but it's going to be close, and it's going to be fun to watch.
It's going to be a very interesting finish, guys, as this could be the very last restart we have out here. Remember, there's no overdrive. There's no green, white, yellow finish out here. If these guys figure it out, it's going to be over with.
And the one thing that you guys have mentioned earlier, too, Alex Warren and Tyler Hill, those top two from Aftermath Motorsports. The next row is going to be Cody Bias and Kenny Humpy. Keep in mind, when everything went down, Tony, Kenny Humpy was a part of the team. It was Cody Bias and Justin Bolton that came over to that team. But you'd have to believe Warren's a great kid. Warren, I don't think holds a lot of grudges. He's a great kid. He doesn't put anything in the memory bank per se. I don't think Warren's going to have an issue racing with Cody Bias. We'll have to see if that history, though, comes back. I'm sure he's got a couple of spotters in his ear. But we'll have to see. Warren's a great kid. We'll see if he can hold on for this one.
And, Tim, it's going to be 9 of the most nerve-wracking laps he has ever made in his sim racing career. Could be one of the biggest races of his entire existence here on the service. He's got 9 circuits to prove that he can get the job done. It's only, and I stress the word only, about 13.5 miles. No pressure whatsoever for Alex Warren and Tyler Hill to try to get this done. Now remember, Tyler Hill did this before. In the Pro Series last season, he held on in a late race restart, got the win, but he didn't have Cody Bias and Kenny Humpy and the team breathing down his neck. It's going to be fun to see how it all unfolds with 9 laps to go.
Pace car is headed to pit road, and here comes Alex Warren, bringing them down a little bit slower. Bias on his back bumper. There's the green. There they go. Green flag flies, and Warren was a little bit slow to get going when that green flag flew. Brings them all down slow, and it's going to be tight going into turn 1.
Tyler Hill able to nose ahead briefly, but Warren faster on the bottom. He'll slide up and clear Tyler Hill, but Cody Bias, what a head of steam. He's now on the inside of the racetrack. Throwing the block is Hill. What a valiant effort that was to keep Cody Bias behind him. That might open the door for Kenny Humpy. They're 2 by 2 by 2 from 4th on back. 1 car in the grass. Byron Daly and Casey Tucker are in it. Will stay green for the time being, somehow miraculously, and now yellow is out. Caution out for an incident on the front straightaway.
Caution flag is out, and that could effectively end the race, guys. If we do have a restart, it's going to be maybe a white checkered restart finish, guys. So this is going to be very interesting. Now, if the complexion of the race had not been changed previously, it's going to be changed permanently now.
Yeah, we should have 2 or 3 at least laps left. Byron Daly in the number 93, bringing out that caution flag. As you mentioned, Tony, Casey Tucker had some issues there, and actually in front of them, they were going 3 wide, 39-32. 32 slides up the racetrack, and it looks like Byron and Tony saw that. Casey Tucker didn't. They make contact, and Danny has it saved thanks to the wall. Byron, not as lucky, gets into Brandon Schmidt, and Schmidt goes hard into the front straight safer barrier.
And somehow Chris Overland got through it as well. That was narrow escape for Chris Overland up by the outside wall. And yeah, Byron Daly was going to pound the fence if Brandon Schmidt was not there. And it's amazing how that all started really a third of a lap before it ultimately ended. And it's really thrown a kink in the plans of Kenny Humpy and Chad Lawton and Cody Bias. It's going to be a couple of laps, literally, to get the job done. We've seen already that Alex Warren has mastered the restart enough to keep these guys behind him for a lap or 2. The thing is, I worry about, Joe, has he shown them too much of his hand? Or does Alex Warren catch them by surprise? Has he been setting them up for these late, slow restarts? And does he go early to try to get the jump this time? It's the final restart of the night. You got to do something different to catch them sleeping. I think that's what Alex Warren does.
I am more concerned, Tony, that time has too much time has passed. That when we go back to green flag racing and we have a green-white checkered finish, which gives us only 2 laps, 3 miles around the Charlotte Motor Speedway, too much time will have passed, and the only way you're going to get around somebody is by forcing to get around, forcing the issue, forcing to get around them. So, what I'm really more concerned about at this juncture is not how they're going to get, or when they're going to get past them. It's more importantly how they're going to get past them. And you know, you can win the race, but still have that victory taken just as quickly away if you get in trouble with the little red hauler. Which, if you move someone out of the way for a win, you might.
Alex Warren has 2 friends here. Joe mentioned time being on his side, as the lights are still on the iRacing Ford Mustang pace car. Time is going to be on his side. He's going to have 2 or 3 laps, but if the caution does fall, then whoever's in front will win the race. The other friend that he has is that driver sitting inside the 9 car, Tyler Hill, through that little bit of a block down the back straightaway when they went green down the back straightaway for the first time on that run. Cody Bias couldn't do anything of it. Now, Cody Bias may have been thinking, okay, well, I've got a few laps under green. I can make them move. Tyler can throw the block or move down or protect your position or whatever you want to call it. But now, that time is not going to be on his side. And there's where Joe came in with that point, Tony. If Cody Bias wants to win this race, he's dominated this event so far, except for the last 25, 30 laps of this race where there has been caution after caution after caution. If Cody wants to seal this deal and win his first ever NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series race, I think he's going to have to be aggressive, and I think he's going to have to be aggressive right off the hop. But Alex Warren, once again, going to control this restart, and he has a teammate on the outside.
I don't want to say you have to wreck the guy, but you got to put yourself in a position that if something goes wrong, Tim, the end result could be an accident. The lights are out atop the iRacing Ford Mustang pace car. We will be going green with 3 laps to go. This will be the final restart of the 300-mile classic here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And Alex Warren with Tyler Hill alongside. Again, the final 4.5 miles of this one are going to be the most treacherous and the most white-knuckle, nerve-wracking laps they have ever turned in their racing careers. And if I'm Cody Bias or if I'm Kenny Humpy, when that block gets thrown on me, when something happens, I don't lift, guys. I push them off into the banking and shove them up the racetrack and do what I have to do. I don't wreck them, but I move them. They call it a bumper, a chrome horn, a cow catcher, whatever you want to call it, but they're there for a reason, and this is the time you have to use them. If I'm Alex Warren, if I'm Tyler Hill, I change up this restart. I do something completely different that I've not done all night long to try to catch them sleeping. Let's see how it turns out as the pace car works off turn 4.
And this is going to be the definitive moment as the first race, Ford Racing, the Mustang pace car goes down pit road. This is going to be the moment Alex Warren wastes no time, hits a loud pedal, and we are down for the last 3 laps of this event. Tyler Hill dutifully behind. No caution out so far as a team member side by side through turns 1 and 2.
Down the back straightaway, Aftermath timed that perfectly on that restart. Side by side for 3rd place between the team members, and we might be 3. Here comes Ottinger, looking for 3 wide through the middle off corner number 4, and Humpy into the fence. Here comes the 26 to the inside of the 05. They're scattering for 4th. Meanwhile, up in front, Tyler Hill pushing the 82 of Alex Warren.
Only a couple of chances left, and if they cannot get out of this complete pinata that they're beat. Oh, trouble back straight away. In the wall goes Chad Lawton. Cody Bias and Nick Ottinger in the fence in turn 3. All the chaos means this race is over. Alex Warren has stolen a win here at Charlotte, and for the 2nd week in a row, the underdog takes a checkered flag in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, Tim.
Speed of lightning, roar of thunder for Alex Warren as he will pick up a huge win out here after it looks like the 0-1 of Tyler Hudson got into the 26 of Chad Lawton, which then ended up opening up a 2nd incident between the 26 of Cody Bias and the 0-5 of Nick Ottinger. What an incredible finish out there, and all of it plays directly to the hand of Alex Warren, Tyler Hill, both of them giving each other a congratulatory bump as they close out lap 200 as a parade lap.
I don't think anybody expected this to finish the way it did. At a corner number 4, the core pipe Chevrolet SS of Alex Warren will pick up his second career NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing victory. He won New Hampshire last year. He comes to Charlotte to win this one in 2015. Tyler Hill comes home with his second consecutive top 5 finish in the series, with second. Nick Ottinger, without a front end on that race car, comes home in third. Kenny Humpy in fourth. And where did Rob Ackley come from? Rob Ackley scored in position number 5 at the end of this one. But Tony, Alex Warren last year won in a wild finish at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway with Matt Busa. He comes home with the victory there, and once again comes home with a wild finish here, and he's going to win this one. It's he's established himself as a series veteran. He's going to put himself a little closer to the top 20 in this series. A big night for Alex Warren.
Huge night for Alex Warren and the Core Pipe Group, and he gets congratulations from so many people as they drive by. Tyler Hill, still alongside Tyler Laughlin there too. But Alex Warren started, get this, row number 20. He started in the 40th spot after taking a provisional to get into the field. He was mid-pack in happy hour, and Alex Warren played the pit strategy to perfection. A little bit of luck didn't hurt either, but Warren to victory lane in Charlotte.
And if anyone needed this win tonight, it was Alex Warren. He's really cemented himself tonight with this huge win. He needed this win. It's critical for him in his season, and maybe championship isn't what he's looking for this season, but nonetheless, this win will cement him as one of the veterans to beat here in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing.com, and more importantly, it will keep him in that critical top 20 in order to advance to next year's show.
And Cody Bias led the most laps in this race, led 86 laps. He is going to finish back in position number 25. We will dissect everything as soon as we come back for our post-race show. Alex Warren's in victory lane in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Sorry, guys. I never would have thought making duck calls would have stirred up this much excitement.
No kidding. You got him coming up here.
Shortcut time!
That's what I'm talking about.
Ah!
You sure this is a good idea?
Oh, yeah. I got this. I can't guarantee you how this will end, but Pete can guarantee your radiator for life. Introducing the Peak Run True Guarantee. Check it out at peakguarantee.com.
Cars are lined up on the grid. The iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series. We are underway. They all come down into turn 1 for the first time.
Sorry, guys. I never would have thought making duck calls would have stirred up this much excitement.
No kidding. We got him coming up here.
Shortcut time!
That's what I'm talking about.
Ah!
You sure this is a good idea?
Oh, yeah. I got this. I can't guarantee you how this will end, but Pete can guarantee your radiator for life. Introducing the Peak Run True Guarantee. Check it out at peakguarantee.com.
Welcome back to Charlotte Motor Speedway, and wow, this racetrack never disappoints, Joe. Mile and a half super speedway with 300 miles of racing. First 2/3, 3/4 really of this one. Pretty much what we expected. The team up front, very predictable for lack of a better term. Great racing throughout, but then came the final quarter of this one, and my oh my, did the cautions and the pit strategy completely change the outcome of this one, Joe. I don't think anybody here expected Alex Warren and Tyler Hill to not only finish up front, but to do it holding off who they held off in the final 20 laps of this one.
Well, we expected the race to end the way it did, with all the caution flags, all the strategy coming down, and the mental endurance coming down. We expected those things to take place, but what we didn't expect was how guys used that strategy to their in order to get themselves front and effectively steal a win from the team. Nobody could have predicted that ending, but it was the ending we needed.
You're exactly right, Joe. That was a great ending, no doubt. And the guy that gets to be the first one to greet the newest winner of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series for the first time this season and the second time in his career, Tim Terry, is by with Alex Warren. Tim?
Finishing this race in the first place position, a little bit of pit strategy at the end of it for Alex Warren. Alex, congratulations, a winner in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series for the second time. Let's talk about that call to stay out on the racetrack late in this race.
Well, I mean, we were far back in the race, and we started very, far deep in the pack, and I didn't get to qualify, so we started on provisional, if you will, and we had a pretty good car, and it was just, everything was so tight and everything, and we just couldn't move anywhere and whatnot, but, coming down to the wire, we ran a few laps, and I was contemplating on pitting, but my teammates, Adam Gillen and Trey Eidson, they told me to stay out, and this was my chance if I wanted to get a win this year or anything like that, just try to, we were in a position to where we could stay up front and hopefully everything will fall our way, and, luck was on my side tonight. Felt like we stole one, but it feels good.
It seems like Tyler Hill is now the gas mileage, fuel mileage king. Pocono a couple weeks ago stays out top 5 finish, and now he finishes in second. How big was it to have that 9 car out there with you, especially in those last few restarts?
Oh, it was definitely huge, and we also had Tyler Laughlin, who started 4th with one of those restarts as well, and he was a big help just having my teammates out there, and it was just a huge momentum booster, especially with all the people who stayed out late that put a buffer between me and the people who took 2 tires, and the caution just fell perfectly, and I hate the race to end under yellow, but we stole a win, and like I said, it just feels great. Just gives this team a big morale boost, because we've been struggling the past few weeks, but damn, this feels good.
Before we let you go, it's going to move you to 14th in the point standings. But last year at New Hampshire, when you won that race, battling with Matt Busa for the victory, coming down to the end within inches, you get that win. Here it's crazy at the end of the race, fuel mileage, guys wrecking behind you. What is it with you and wild finishes in this series?
I don't know. I guess that's what, I guess that's how it is with me. I guess I just win with wild finishes, I guess. And, just back with the race I won last year, it was crazy enough. And, my heart was pumping. And this race, the same thing, too. When we had the final restart, my heart, my teammates were just calming me down by saying, just breathe, and just relax. And that helped me focus to the end. And, again, we had that caution fall, and race is over after that.
And there is Alex Warren, a winner in this NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing for the second time in his career, first time in 2015. And Joe, I believe there are cupcakes at the Aftermath Motorsports hauler because Adam Gilliland likes to throw a party. But before you get there, you need to talk to one of his teammates, Tyler Hill.
And that's a shame because you know how much I love cupcakes, how they are my weakness in life. So I'm hoping Tyler Hill will save me one when we get down there. Tyler Hill finishing second tonight. And Tyler, you're kind of running a good streak right now. 2 weeks, 2 top 5 finishes.
Yeah, what can you say about that? You know, it's a great little couple of runs we've been able to put together here. You know, sometimes, you know, a little bit of luck and a little bit of strategy is all you have, and we used it again today to get up front, and we're able to stay there just long enough.
Fuel mileage definitely seems to be the name of your game lately. Fuel mileage playing into 2 weeks ago, Pocono 2 again, and here at Charlotte. Was the fuel mileage strategy a deliberate move by you and Alex, or did it just kind of play out towards that at the end?
Well, I don't know as far as how deliberate it was for Alex, but I know for me, we had a good car this week, and you know, it seemed like with a couple of wrecks here and there, we had to keep pitting to get damage fixed. A little bit of tail damage had us pinned back in 15, and we were looking at it as far as we could maybe get up to 10th if best case scenario as far as passing people, you know. And I'm not here to run 10th. I figured if we could get up front with, you know, a 10-lap shootout, we're going to be able to hold it just long enough, and it worked out where just long enough. And you know, I'm happy for Alex, and I'm glad to finish second in that race and secure ourselves a little more solidly in the points.
Tyler, 2 weeks from now, we go to Dover. Are we going to see the number 9 machine in the top 5 for the 3rd consecutive week?
You know, it depends how it shakes out. You know, Dover's it's very very tight around that place, so you know, you could see some strategy there at the end of the race, but it has to make sense. You know, we'd love to just run up there, but that is a very tough racetrack. So we're going to give it our all. We're going to go back. We're going to work, and we'll get the Aftermath Motorsports team ready to roll, and hopefully go out and we'll get a couple of guys up in the top 5 and have everybody have solid runs that week.
Tyler, final question for you. It's been kind of an emotional season for you, Alex, and Adam Gilliland with the Aftermath Motorsports transition. How good does it feel to have the Aftermath finish 1st and 2nd, especially in front of some of your former teammates in that schism?
Oh, it feels great. And, you know, as happy as I am for the team, I'm glad that Alex, you know, he's worked hard and long with us, and he stuck with us. And he deserves to win. You know, he's a great guy, and he's a great driver, and he puts a lot of time into it. So, you know, to see him have it pay off, and he just loves it so much. So to see him win just means the world to our team. And, you know, now we know he's got one, so now it's our turn. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Tyler Hill, the number 9 machine, finishing 2nd tonight behind teammate Alex Warren. Aftermath Motorsports finishing 1st and 2nd here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Tony Stevens has caught up with our 3rd place driver, Nick Ottinger. Pardon me while I go get one of those cupcakes in the hauler.
Yeah, absolutely, Joe. And Nick Ottinger miraculously somehow ended up in the 3rd spot. Nick, your night was like a roller coaster. How in the world did you survive it to end up where you did?
Just a lot of good work from the GFR guys. I mean, you just move forward after that and just keep going. And we had I think it was some software bugs plagued us for 2 stops in a row. I don't know what exactly happened there. I think it was just some software bugs, but I mean, we tried like half the rebound. Obviously we did, but we kept trying. The outside's where you wanted to be on restarts, because you just had to keep your momentum base and everything. So, I mean, all in all, just glad to come out with a good finish. It's been a while, I guess you can say. That's just goes to credit from all the GFR guys. Just never quit attitude.
And Nick, that's one thing I was very impressed with. No matter what happened, you kept digging all night long, and you got yourself in a position, in part due to some of the late cautions and some pit strategy, into the top 10, into the top 5. The last few laps, what was it like inside the race car? Watching from our vantage point, it looked intense, and it looked like some of the most fun ever. Can you describe that? Can you even put it into words?
It was, I enjoyed it. Obviously because we finished. We've been struggling with that lately, but, it was real fun. I seen Kenny get arc the corner a little too much in turn 3, and I had to keep the momentum, so I had to put him 3 wide. And I think Cody, once we got off turn 2 the following lap, he was looking in the mirror possibly, I guess, at the wreck, and was coming up into my left front. But we saw it was a good finish. That's what we wanted. Obviously you want to win these races, but the last few restarts were hairy over there because you had to get everything you could, and a lot of people were expecting caution at the restart, so you just had to keep digging.
Well, Nick, I know it's good for you to get yourself turned back around here in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. Congratulations on a top 3 run, and we look forward to seeing you in a few weeks at Dover.
Thank you, Tony.
That's Nick Ottinger, finishes 3rd here tonight, miraculously at Charlotte. And I do believe Joe has caught up with the guy who somehow still continues to knock out the top 5s, Kenny Humpy.
Kenny Humpy, your points leader, will now lose any footing as a result of this race. But Kenny, 4th is great, but I know for a fact that you want to add Charlotte as one of your trophies to what's already been a stellar season.
Yeah, for sure. But on a serious note, before getting in the video, I'd have to give a shout out to Chucky McGee and Cody Bias's girlfriend and the whole McGee family. They got some really terrible news this past week, so thoughts and prayers go out to those guys. But no, I wanted to really win, and Cody did too, and he had a really good race going, man. And I feel real sorry for what happened to him. He definitely deserved it. He put a lot of work and time into the setup, man, and it made our cars real fast. I think we showed that tonight, and that's you can't win them all, but he really did deserve this win, and but consequences happen, and it's racing, so we'll get them hard next week.
The team really showing their strength once again. At one point, you guys occupying all 5 of the top 5 positions. How strong is the team now? And as the halfway point of the season, is it only going to grow from here?
Well, I think so. I think momentum is huge in this series because it keeps everybody's spirits up. And then the way it ended today, maybe people will be down, but it takes good runs to, have the motivation to get on here and work on these setups. And we've been lucky, this whole season so far to have really good cars, and it makes us, it makes it fun. It makes you want to come on and, build some setups with the guys. And, our Peak Chevy's been fast every race so far this year, and hopefully we can continue that streak.
Kenny, unofficially, 58 points is the lead you hold over the second place runner in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing. What do you have in mind to continue those winning ways in 2 weeks in Dover?
Yeah, I think, I don't know. I hate thinking about points. I really do. And I think realistically we have to get through at least these first 12 where we have our drops and everything play out. And then maybe at the 13th race, maybe take a look and, then start saying, hey, this is what we got to do to, keep the lead. I think right now with all the drops being played in and stuff like that, which aren't even being counted yet, there's a little bit of play and maybe a little bit of I have a little bit bigger lead than maybe I actually do. So I think you wait until that 12th race is over and then you take a good look at it and, you figure out what you need to do and then play those last 4 races out, and try to win, or try to finish where you need to finish those last 4. And we've done such a great job this year, and thanks to all the guys on the team and everybody, and hopefully we can keep it up.
That is your points leader, Kenny Humpy, finishing 4th tonight here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Tim Terry is caught with our 5th place finisher, I believe. That's Rob Ackley.
We do not have Rob Ackley with us, so we will thank the Mason Baker Designs team and everybody that has put together that effort for Rob Ackley, and what a great run he had tonight. Solid qualifying effort, finishing in the top 5. Great run for that number 22 team. Kenny Humpy once again will come out with a big point lead. Cody Bias dominated this race, finishes back in P25. Tough break for Cody Bias. But at the end of the day, Alex Warren comes home with his second career NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing victory. Tyler Hill, second consecutive top 5. Both of those races have been fuel mileage or pit strategy, but that Aftermath Motorsports team may have turned the corner. We'll have to wait and see what happens in 2 weeks' time, because we're going to head to Dover. And, gentlemen, I don't think fuel mileage is going to play into effect there. Attrition might play into effect. We might have a little bit of strategy playing in there, but I don't think any of this fuel mileage thing is going to be in effect at Dover. Dover is a different monster than what we've dealt with the last 2 races.
Oh, Tim, don't be so sure of yourself just yet. Because, yes, Dover might be the monster mile, but we've seen all kinds of insanity happen there. We have seen championships turn on a dime at Dover. We have seen all kinds of things happen in the Concrete Canyon of this Dover. I'm looking at Twitter on my phone, and the comments after this race, guys, just somebody, here we go. I'm just going to go right down and read them. I'll admit that was more exciting than a certain other race this weekend. I won't name which race he was watching. That actually got pretty good at the end. I have to give a shout-out to Cody Bias. Tough one to swallow, but you'll get it soon. Great drive tonight. What a finish. Awesome seeing Aftermath in victory lane. Big congrats. Another congrats, Alex Warren. Way to steal one. Great resolve from the Plan B team tonight. Aftermath Motorsports. This is the good one, Joe. We just won, all capital letters. Holy crap. Alex Warren grabs the second win. Wow. They were certainly excited, and so many other comments on Twitter under hashtag Impasse. Always fun to watch Twitter each and every time we're on the air to see the reaction of our viewers and our fans over the course of the night. But there is no question, probably, I think, one of the most entertaining races we have seen all season. And yes, we've had some great races over the years, and we've had great seasons over the years. 2 years ago, I think the last half of the season was one of the most entertaining last parts of the year. But so far, Joe, even with the team's dominance, we've seen some really entertaining races so far this season, and I think the trend continues at Dover. It's so unpredictable, you don't really know what's going to happen there.
Well, first off, let's address this race here at hand. Those who stuck with us here on fanschoice.tv, iRacing Live, MRN, and all of our other affiliates got rewarded with an incredible show by 42 of the best drivers in the iRacing sim. Pound for pound, the cream of the crop showed up here tonight at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And at the end of the day, Alex Warren certainly found a way to make it work for him at the end of the day, and you can't teach that. That's exactly what he did, was brilliant at the end. And Alex Warren, he's got a bright future and a lot of things coming up for him in the near future. But after Charlotte, we go to Dover in 2 weeks' time, which, Tony, is the halfway point of this campaign and leaves only 4 more races until we have that drop and begin the unofficial. I call it the unofficial because that's when we drop the race, the worst performing race, as we begin the chase, the unofficial chase for the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing Championship. And you're absolutely right. This is a place that is not kind on cars. It's not kind to drivers. And it's a place where you have to be flawless every single lap. You make one mistake at the Monster Mile, and that monster will swallow your car up without even thinking twice. So, what do we have to look forward to in 2 weeks? A lot of incredible racing, a lot of cautious racing, and whoever walks away from the Monster Mile, Tony, they will have won. They will have not only won, they will have survived, and more importantly, they will have earned that race.
I think you're right, Joe. They will, in fact, have earned that race at Dover. And look back at the standings and look off screen here, but look at some of the stories we had throughout tonight. Yes, you had Alex Warren and Tyler Hill winning the race, but let's go down the running order. Rob Ackley finishes 5th. Tyler Hudson, best run of his 2015 season. P.J. Sturgis finishes in the top 10. Brandon Bowie, Nathan Wise, even Brian Day, where did they come from? They all clawed back at the end. They used whatever means necessary to get themselves where they need to be at the end of the race. And at the end of the day, they don't ask how, they simply ask how many. And I think this is going to be a good shot in the arm for a few of these teams. Aftermath struggled with speed for so long, I think they might have finally found some. Yeah, they might have some would say lucked into a win or backed into a win here, but it doesn't matter. They still ended up in victory lane, and now they kind of know what they need to worry about before they end up trying to outrun the team and anybody else on the racetrack. Not every race is going to be this or have this pattern play out, but they have that shot of confidence now. And same thing with One Up Motorsports, Slip Angle Motorsports, all those other teams that finished up in the top 10 and 15 spots. It's going to be fun. And Dover, as you said, Joe, the Monster Mile, chews them up, spits them out, and then comes back for seconds. That's how treacherous the track is. We've seen championships change completely at Dover, and 200 laps on the Monster Mile is going to be ferocious, no doubt. Pack a lunch, because you might very well need it just to get away from the monster. And in fact, we get a double dose of Dover International Speedway. Guess why? Because next week, the NASCAR Xfinity Class B Series will be at Dover. They'll be battling the high banks of the concrete, and then the following week, it will be the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. So buckle up, pull them belts tight, and get ready to go racing at Dover, probably one of the most exciting, one of the most treacherous, and one of the most challenging tracks on the entire schedule, the 1 mile canyon that does make up the Monster Mile. On behalf of Ian Bushing, all of our friends at iRacing, iRacing Live, Fans Choice TV, all of our affiliates, Tim Terry, Joe Cortez, my name is Tony Stevens, saying congratulations to Alex Warren and Aftermath Motorsports. We'll see you next week right here for iRacing Night on Fans Choice and iRacing Live. Good night, everybody.
Sorry, guys. I never would have thought making duck calls would have stirred up this much excitement.
No kidding. You got him coming up here.
Shortcut time!
That's what I'm talking about. You sure this is a good idea?
Oh, yeah. I got this. I can't guarantee you how this will end, but Pete can guarantee your radiator for life. Introducing the Peak Run True Guarantee. Check it out at peakguarantee.com.